The little boy with this frowning face is our protagonist Zeke Eldragon. Don't think he's just a newborn and look down on him. His previous life was Gilfa's Eldragon, the clan leader of the strongest family on the continent. The reason he appears in this newborn body has to do with more than 1,000 years ago. He had found the absolute pinnacle of martial arts, but then he realized that a human lifetime is never enough to surpass this truth. He clung to an ancient legend. It said that deep inside a sacred sanctuary protected by a divine dragon, there lies a golden metallic fruit. That fruit is said to hold the power of immortality, the fruit of eternal life. With this thought in mind, Gilfas went to defeat the dragon god and truly witnessed that miraculous fruit. He dragged his wounded body to the tree, quickly picking the fruit. With this, I can still pursue the absolute pinnacle of martial arts, Zeke said happily, and immediately devoured it without any hesitation. This is Gilfa's Eldragon, the man known as the strongest in the world. Time passed quickly a few decades later. Inside some rooms, sorrowful sounds kept ringing out. The important thing is time. He's already old. At least let him rest in peace. Sitting beside the bed was the eldest son of the family, William. He kept calling his father's name. His expression made Zeke, in his aged body at this moment, speak up to remind him, "Don't make that pathetic face. My time is simply up." Hearing that, William joked, "This mansion is really cold without mother or you." Zeke shook his head slightly. "Don't be so weak." Then he thought to himself, "Those legends really can't be trusted, but I'm lucky to have a wife and obedient children." He reached out to stroke his grandson's face and continued, "My beloved children, I Gilfas have lived long enough. I have no regrets left." Well, that's what he said on the surface, but inside Zeke was very bitter. "Don't make me laugh. Of course I have regrets. If I could have more time. If only I had more time. I still haven't reached the absolute pinnacle of martial arts." Gilfas shakily raised his aged hands upward. His son, seeing this scene, couldn't hold back his tears. And so Gilfa's Eldragon ended his life. At least that's how it seemed. Who knows how much time passed? Gilfas suddenly woke up, his heart filled with confusion. Did I fall asleep? This wallpaper pattern, isn't it from the annex building? My body feels unusually light. And these tiny hands, what are they? Gilfas was shocked looking at his tiny hands. These aren't a newborn's hands, are they? Have I become a newborn baby? Thinking this, even the strongest man in the world couldn't help breaking out in cold sweat. It took a few seconds before he calmed down a bit and tried to reassure himself. Calm down. To drag someone like me, who reached 10-star level, into such a bizarre situation without detection. This is clearly not normal. Who could have done this and how? Thinking that, suddenly a flash of light appeared in his mind as he recalled something. Could it be because of that fruit? I understand. It seems the effect of that fruit isn't immortality but reincarnation. I never expected this. But this is truly lucky. Now I can finally witness the absolute pinnacle of martial arts. Thinking that our protagonist couldn't stop grinning. Then he slightly observed the scene inside the room, where there were countless cribs also containing bobbies. With this situation, Gilfas quickly guessed his own circumstance. Let's see, there are other newborns sleeping here too. I'm in the annex, which means I've reincarnated into the Eldragon family again. But why are there so many newborns concentrated? Just as he thought this, a group of maids came in from outside, carrying a container of red liquid, along with some empty milk bottles. While they were pouring the liquid into the bottles, Zeke quickly analyzed. A maid of the Eldragon family. From the situation, it's feeding time. After all, this place is full of newborns. Unaware of his thoughts, one maid spoke up. "Prepare." Another replied. Right after that, they pulled out a goblin from somewhere and directly stuffed the milk bottle containing the red liquid into the goblin's mouth. Their action made the protagonist puzzled. Why is there a goblin here? What are they planning to do? As if answering Zeke's question, right after that, the goblin's chest suddenly turned red hot like molten steel. Then its chest directly exploded, sending fresh blood splashing onto Zeke. And he became dumbfounded too. What just happened? On the other side, the maid continued. "If we dilute it this much, it should be safe. Hurry and feed them." The others replied and quickly went to feed the newborns the red liquid. Gilfas naturally couldn't avoid the same fate. And because he'd seen the goblin's fate, Gilfas was now so scared he almost wet himself. What? They're making them drink what? This isn't milk. What is this liquid? It contains a huge source of power. Making newborns drink something this dangerous is really dangerous. Thinking that the moment the nipple was brought to his mouth, Zeke's body automatically opened wide and sucked greedily. This made Gilfas frustrated nonstop. Damn it, I forgot I'm a newborn now. Then when the red liquid was swallowed, Gilfas realized what it was. This is ancient dragon blood. What are these idiots thinking making us drink this? So the dilution they mentioned was for this. The situation is bad. I have to spit it out. I've already swallowed a bit. A small amount like this probably won't kill me. The other children are spitting it out by instinct. I need to do the same before I explode. But is this really the right thing to do? Zeke asked himself. But right after that he realized, this is a bargain, here's the chance. If I absorb all this energy, I can surpass even my previous self and reach the absolute pinnacle of martial arts I couldn't reach before. I don't know why, but I'll seize this opportunity. Don't look down on me. Don't look down on Gilfa's Eldragon. Zeke roared inwardly while gritting his teeth, enduring the pain from the ancient dragon blood. Zeke's eyebrows furrowed, tightly thinking, inwardly, don't look down on Gilfa's Eldragon. The maid saw him gripping the bottle tightly and exclaimed in surprise, this child. Zeke frowned, puffing his cheeks, sucking hard, thinking, I will absorb the full power of the ancient dragon, and then I will have the ability to reach the absolute pinnacle of martial arts I couldn't reach in my previous life. In his mind, an ancient dragon spread its wings, roaring nonstop. Its eyes flashed golden light, looking at the figure of another dragon. Zeke saw that ancient dragon open its mouth, biting the neck of the other dragon. In doubt what this power is absorbed so easily, it's shocked. No, this is perfect. Outside he lay in the comfortable crib, frowning nonstop, looking around, thinking somehow I've managed. Zeke lay inside, sensing the energy from the nearby cribs, thinking the other children seemed to have survived too. It's true. You shouldn't underestimate a newborn's survival instinct. Damn, it's really a child's body. After a while, he sucked on his finger, falling asleep naturally, feeling sleep. Time passed quickly. 7 years later, inside the forest, a counting sound rang out. 998, 999. Zeke, one hand on the ground, with a stone on his leg, doing push-up. Then his legs powerfully kicked the stone high into the air. Next, Zeke quickly jumped aside, dodging the stone falling straight down from above. Former Eldragon clan leader Gilfas, now Zeke Eldragon, looked down at his hands, marveling. It's still such a wonderful physique, all thanks to the ancient dragon blood. In his mind, he thought about the current world. Every living creature possesses a power. Zeke thought about the blood bottle he drank earlier. The ancient dragon blood that Zeke and the other children were forced to drink contains an endless source of power. He recalled that massive energy, thinking the children who consumed it, at least, gained a physique far surpassing ordinary people. Zeke sensed that energy flow, thinking combined with the divine dragon power I defeated in my previous life, now residing in me. Zeke, the only child who completely absorbed the full power of the ancient dragon, he has undergone changes that even he himself is astonished by. He closed his eyes, inwardly marveling, but still only reached 1 star. Zeke looked down at his hands, whispering, the situation is only 1 star. It's really bad. I should have reached at least 4 stars by now. Those stars are the source of a person's power gained when pushed to a certain limit. He sensed the energy emanating from inside his body. The body is like a universe, with stars floating inside. The more stars, the greater the power. But each time the number of stars increases, creating new stars becomes even harder. Zeke clenched his fist tightly, thinking, and Zeke, in his previous life, Gilfa's Eldragon, reached 10 stars, an unprecedented record. He was the only person in the world to achieve that power. He brushed his hair back, muttering, but time has passed so quickly. It's been 7 years since reincarnating as the current Eldragon clan leader's illegitimate child. Zeke thought about her and him, thinking, my mother has passed away, and my father has never appeared. I doubt his fatherly qualities, but more than that. He scratched his face, suddenly letting out a questioning sound. 1,000 years later, huh? Zeke thought about the scene of the maids feeding ancient dragon blood to the children, whispering, although reincarnation itself was surprising enough, but being reborn 1,000 years later, before I could even grasp the timeline, I lived again. The world has become a place where the survival of the fittest is tested to the extreme. The most typical example is this. He thought about that family ritual making newborns drink ancient dragon blood. It's a ritual called the Dragon Trial. Zeke thought about those who survived, thinking, only the children who survive this trial can receive education as Eldragon warriors. That's how it should be. He turned his head and saw the female maid coming out to find him. Zeke stared at her, exclaiming, I'm afraid I can't answer that question. He thought about the past 7 years. No guide has come to Zeke at all. Zeke excitedly roared at the maid, isn't it strange those who pass the trial receive combat training, right? But here there are only maids. She heard and asked, puzzled, is there a problem with that? He startled, stammering, no problem. But Zeke pointed his thumb at himself, shouting, right now physical training is more important to me than learning combat. Anyway, I can do that myself. He put one hand on his hip, looking at the maid, asking, but at least I want to know a little information about the other children, or about the main clan, don't you think? So she coldly replied, I'm afraid I can't answer that. Zeke frowned, asking, I'm only talking about family matters. Do you understand? She closed her eyes, replying, I'm afraid I can't answer. Hearing this, his expression immediately darkened, shouting, Is this all you can say? The maid also frowned, coldly replying, I'm afraid I can't answer that. Zeke put both hands on his hips, shouting, Isn't treating me like this. A bit harsh, she bowed, respectfully replying, We are only ordered to take care of your daily needs. He stared at her thinking, this maid is 3-star level. Just with basic combat training, one maid is enough. Right after that, in front of her puzzled eyes, Zeke turned and left saying, Whatever, I'll go into the forest living together for 7 years. With only minimal interactions like this is too abnormal. At that moment, he turned his head, looking back, asking, finally ignoring me, huh? Then Zeke quickly walked alone into the dense, uninhabited forest. Next, he swiftly reached down and yanked a small tree right out of the ground. Zeke quickly stuffed the entire plant into his mouth and chewed it ferociously with all his strength. Right away, he stuck out his tongue and let out a groan. The poisonous grass still tasted absolutely revolting, downright horrific. But hey, this counted as training. He turned his head to glance around while silently urging himself in his mind, patience. Come on, just be patient. Zeke shot a look toward the bushes behind him and muttered under his breath, but lately that gaze keeps following me so closely. I really wish I could do something about it. He let out a long breath, looked straight ahead, and shouted loudly, Wow, I never thought they'd show themselves over something this trivial, seriously. If you've got something to say, just come out and say it to my face. Right after that, Zeke pursed his lips, strode quickly over there, and pushed the bushes aside to take a look. Inside the bushes, faint purple lights flickered through the air. He crouched behind the thick foliage, peering across and whispering, There's something over there. Zeke spotted a wild boar completely shrouded in black mist and mused to himself, That's a berserk wild boar. He frowned, staring hard in that direction and wondering, black mist, something that hasn't existed for 1,000 years. What the hell is that thing exactly? Suddenly, the boar whipped its head around and locked eyes with Zeke. Its entire body erupted with black mist as it stared straight at Zeke. Then it charged straight toward him at full speed. Zeke's face lit up with excitement the moment he saw it, grinning wide as he looked toward the forest. Right after that, he leaned sideways to dodge it. Zeke's eyes flashed brightly as he clenched his fist, gathering golden light, and threw a punch. He slammed his fist forward with full force, sending the wild boar flying backward a huge distance. Zeke lowered his head to look at the glowing light on his hand and exclaimed, Just a light touch on something at the same 1-star level, and it unleashes this much power. He immediately hoisted the boar's corpse onto his shoulder and walked off. The quality of these stars really matters a lot. I'm starting to get bored of being left alone like this. Maybe it's time to set out and explore. Zeke left the forest behind and hurried away. If he wanted to go somewhere, the sea would be the first place. Behind a large tree, a man gripped his staff tightly and thought to himself, What the hell is going on here? Even without proper training, that kid used 1-star power and took down a berserk wild boar in a single blow. And more importantly, he actually sensed my perfectly hidden presence. That child is anything but normal. He thought about Zeke and mused, Mother died early and father doesn't give a damn. How could a kid like Zeke possibly get any real guidance? Yet because the clan blood runs through him, he isn't allowed to leave the family and is always under surveillance. The man sat cross-legged on the ground and muttered, So even if he's a bastard child, he still carries the clan blood. Is that how it is? Things are going to get pretty interesting from here on out. Right after that, his figure vanished instantly, leaving no trace behind. Meanwhile, over at the little house where Zeke had grown up since childhood, he tightened the straps of his backpack on his shoulders and probed cautiously, Who are they? 3 4-star level and 1 5-star, all seasoned warriors. What do people like that want here? Zeke stood outside the door, pressing his ear against the wooden panel and catching the chatter inside. The air out here in the countryside is so fresh, team leader. No gaps nearby at all, so probably not much chaos. They don't seem to have bad intentions. At least it doesn't look like an assassination setup in that. He pushed the door open hard and called out questioningly, What do you people want, showing up in a place like this? Zeke eyed the badges on the two of them suspiciously and thought, The Eldragon family crest, what's going on? Right after that, the man quickly stepped forward 1 pace. He removed his hat, placed a hand over his chest, bowed respectfully, and replied, This must be our first meeting. We've come to escort young Master Zeke. Young Master Zeke is required to participate in an examination. Zeke jolted at the words and asked in confusion, An examination. Right after that, he stared wide-eyed and open-mouthed, letting out a shocked gasp, Huh. Inside the small wooden house, Zeke's incredulous voice echoed everywhere, Even though I've never been taught anything. Zeke crossed his arms, stunned as he looked up and sighed in amazement. I never expected to be heading back to the main manor like this. After that, I was brought back to the main family by the envoys sent from the central house. The servants saw me and quickly reminded Zeke, Young master, you need to change clothes. You can't enter the manor looking like this. At the time, he was stunned and thought, I can't get in. but isn't this supposed to be living at the main house? Speaking of which, that place, called the Dragon's Lair. It seems that over the past 1,000 years, the Eldragon family has established a specialized educational academy. Zeke recalled what he already knew. Everyone born into the Eldragon family has the goal of entering the Dragon's Lair, receiving home education until age 7, and today is the entrance exam. He smiled confidently to himself and thought, well, yeah, I'm the kid who never got properly taught any. Zeke's legs stood straight as he observed his surroundings. Right after that, he suddenly dropped into a squat, clutching his head in frustration. Even so, participating in the exam is mandatory, so I've been dragged all the way back here from the borderland. Zeke couldn't help remembering himself back then. Why did it have to happen right when I was finally about to leave? After all that preparation, it's all gone now. Just as he was squatting on the ground, a voice suddenly came from behind. A gentle-looking boy with light blue hair bowed slightly and asked, "Rangi's from Ordsel village. Are you okay? Is something wrong?" Zeke looked up in confusion and asked, "Who are you?" The boy got flustered and explained, "I'm Rangi's. You didn't look okay so." Zeke's expression stayed pretty indifferent as he stared at Rangi. The boy was radiating some kind of energy. Zeke silently assessed in his mind, this kid looks so timid, but he's actually pretty sharp. So Zeke suddenly stood up and said, sorry about that. He flashed a super friendly smile and introduced himself. "You're Rangi's right, I'm Zeke." Then Zeke sighed and complained, "I have no idea what the hell they plan to make us do." Rangi's heard that and awkwardly hugged his own arms as he replied, "The exam content hasn't changed at all these past few years." But Zeke just shrugged casually and said, "Oh no, I don't even know what the test is about. I have zero foundation." Hearing that, the boy paled in shock and blurted, "What?" Rangi's felt puzzled inside. No knowledge of the exam at all is way too reckless. Is he gonna be okay? So he started explaining to Zeke, today's test includes. Suddenly a shout rang out from the distance, "Hey, that weakling Rang." Rangi's flinched and turned around with a terrified look on his face. At that moment, another guy walked over with a face screaming for a fight. This one was Retin from Ordsel village. He sneered contemptuously, "A weakling like you. Why are you even here, lost or something? Get lost and go home before you get hurt." Rangi stammered nervously, "Of course it's for the Dragon's Lair entrance exam." Hearing that, the guy scoffed loudly, "You." Retin clutched his stomach, laughing mockingly right in his face. No way in hell you're getting in. Your dad's a pseudo-dragon, right? What can a pseudo-dragon's kid even do?" By now, Rangi's hands were trembling with anger as he clenched them tight. Zeke had noticed it too. Speaking of the Eldragon family hierarchy, there's a clear order established by the absolute sovereign, the prime dragon. Next comes the true young dragons, the maturing dragon captain, then the high commander dragons, and finally at the very bottom are the pseudo-dragons, those who can't enter the dragon's lair or can't graduate and are labeled as the immature ones. The boy lowered his head in silent fury inside, "But I want to prove that we're not fakes." Right at that moment, a voice rang out that made him jump. Why are you so sure without even trying?" Zeke quickly stepped forward toward the three of them. Retin saw him and snarled in contempt, Who the hell are you? What, got a problem?" Zeke answered calmly and gently, "Nah, just asking plain and simple, why can't Rangi's?" The guy pointed straight at Rangi's and said, "Obviously because he's weak." The boy's face twitched slightly when he heard that, weak. Zeke stared at Rangi's and judged, "He's actually way stronger than you guys by a lot." Hearing those words, the guy couldn't help but freeze with wide eyes. The others got furious the moment they heard and immediately cursed. "What did you say? You saying we're weaker than that failure?" Right then, an unexpected footstep approached. Two men appeared and shouted loudly, "Attention." This one was the dragon instructor. He said sternly, "The Dragon's Lair entrance examination begins now. All candidates must register in order. Then proceed quickly with your assigned number tag." Retin stopped arguing with Zeke at that point, walked past, and warned, "I remember your face now, you bastard." Zeke watched him go and sighed wearily. Did he really need to get that mad? Kids these days flare up so easily. From behind, Rangi spoke up awkwardly, "We're the same age, right?" So the boy lowered his head a bit and continued, "Who'd stay calm after hearing someone say I'm stronger than them?" Zeke glanced at Rangi's and replied softly, "Is that so?" Then he crossed his arms and stated the obvious, "But this entrance exam is mandatory, right? So saying stuff like no chance or whatever doesn't really fly." Rangi's looked a little dazed and asked, "You can actually withdraw. Seriously, you don't know anything, do you?" So Zeke answered, "You can quit. I really don't know." The boy gave an awkward laugh and added, "You'd be better off withdrawing too. At least that way you won't get hurt." Zeke didn't explain further, just smiled and rubbed his chin. "Even someone at my level can't withdraw no matter how hard I try." Rangi's heard that and couldn't help but marvel. "You're really confident, even when you don't know what the test is about." Zeke burst out laughing cheerfully when he heard that. "Whatever, come on, hurry up. We gotta move or the test will start. The boy scratched his head and replied, "Ah, yeah, right." After that, they hurried over to the instructor. He said, "The test is very simple. If you can scratch this stone, you'll pass. You're not allowed to use weapons except the ones we provide, but bare hands are fine. You just need to make a scratch appear on the rock." The instructor held up 3 fingers with a smile and added, "However, you only get 3 attempts." Hearing that, Zeke couldn't help but sigh. "That's really simple, huh?" Rangi's jolted a little when he heard what. On his side, Zeke thought to himself as he recalled, "Just need to scratch the stone right. After going through that insane dragon trial, I thought there'd be something terrifying waiting in the exam. This is kinda disappointing." Right after that, the instructor over there coldly shouted, "Begin." Next, a boy rushed forward and slammed the stone with all his might. Rangi's on the other side still couldn't hold back and clutched his head in fear. Then another loud impact rang out, but suddenly something shot back. The boy's hand started bleeding. Zeke's group on this side watched in shocked horror. The kid let out a cry and collapsed flat on the ground. The instructor walked over, noted something down, and asked, "First attempt failed. 2 attempts remaining. Do you want to try again?" Seeing he didn't move, the guy next to him smirked. "Guess he's giving up. Clean him up." After that, they dragged the kid away right in front of everyone. Next, step forward. Rangi's beside him was still hugging his head in panic. Zeke saw it and felt angry inside. So this is the test. He couldn't help muttering as he looked at the thing. "What the heck is that rock anyway?" Rangi's quickly explained to Zeke. "It's called a regeneration stone. It instantly regenerates even tiny scratches. Plus, when attacked with pure physical strength, it reflects the blowback with hundreds of times more power." After hearing that, Zeke thought to himself, "Isn't that material way too ridiculous?" The boy added, "But if you circulate your power source properly throughout your body and strike, it can get scratched." Zeke understood after hearing it and felt a bit flustered as he calculated. "Got it. From what I've heard, the martial skills you learn matter way less than mastering how to control your power source." His eyes glanced around the area once more. At that moment, everyone present was staring down below in tension. It seemed like very few people were going to pass this test. Even those guys from earlier hadn't made it. Over there, another miserable scream rang out. The kid was so scared he started crying. Number 51 failed next. Then another teenager failed right after. Number 202 failed next. The tags kept dropping as the instructor emotionlessly continued scribbling on his sheet. After that, he announced again, "Next, number 315. Zeke checked his own tag and spoke up, "My turn now." Seeing that, Rangi's worriedly said to Zeke, "Hey, don't you still have the chance to quit?" Zeke just waved casually at him and stepped down below. "Don't worry." Rangi's could only watch from above in tense silence, at a loss for words. Over there, the instructor pointed him in the right direction, still holding his pen ready to take notes. Right at that moment, the instructor's eyes flashed with astonishment. A powerful surge of energy radiated from behind Zeke's back as he gave a faint smile. "Weapons are on the rack." Seeing Zeke step into the arena barehanded, the dragon instructor asked doubtfully, "Not using a weapon?" Zeke confirmed, "Yes, no need, this fist is plenty." Up on the stands, the trainees buzzed in discussion. "That guy's planning to use just his bare hands. Even if he's good at controlling his power source, he can't scratch that stone barehanded. His fist is gonna get pulverized." Rangi's went pale hearing someone say, No, forget the fist. He might even lose the whole arm." The boy silently blamed himself. "Just as I thought. Maybe I should have stopped him more forcefully." The instructor didn't push back. "I understand. Then let's begin." As he touched the stone, Zeke silently assessed, "This really is the first time I've seen a mineral like this. It must be something formed over 1,000 years. There's still so much I don't understand, whatever." He steadied himself, "No problem," and right after that he swung his fist up. Rangi's panicked and shot to his feet thinking, "This is bad, I have to stop him," so he shouted loudly, "Zeke." Meanwhile, Zeke was super excited. "With this, I can unleash my full power right now." Rangi's could only stare helplessly, as Zeke showed no sign of stop. The technique Zeke was using right now was the Dragon Devastation martial art. First form, explosive strike. In the blink of an eye, the stone exploded, debris flying everywhere. The force was so intense that even Rangi's way up on the stands felt terrified. The dragon instructor stood frozen, because this went far beyond anything imaginable. Zeke smirked arrogantly, "Just as I expected. This technique is still a bit too much for my current body. I still need a lot more training." The stands fell completely silent. No one had recovered from what just happened. After a brief moment, Retin angrily shouted, "He smashed the damn rock to pieces." At the same time, Liko admired, "Interesting indeed." Rangi's was still in shock, unable to believe what he'd just witnessed. Then he blurted out in disbelief, "What?" Meanwhile, the instructor silently evaluated, "Impossible. The kid blasted away half the regeneration stone. Something like that can only happen at 4-star level or higher. How could a child pull that off? Inside, the dragon instructor doubted. Even though he's a bastard child, does he really carry the main clan's blood? But that technique just now, I feel like I've seen it somewhere before. Seeing him dazed, Zeke asked, Examiner sir, may I know my test result? The dragon instructor immediately declared, number 315, pass. An exam staff brought over the reward. Here, take this. Zeke asked curiously, what's this? At the same time, the staff whispered, can you hurry up? I still have to clean up the mess. Zeke stomped his foot in annoyance. Is everyone in this era like this? Always in such a rush? Take it easy for one. The boy ran over with admiring eyes. Zeke, that was amazing, you shattered it. Zeke grinned smugly. It was pretty easy, yeah. Remembering the reward, he asked, oh right, Rangies, what's this? Rangies looked up blankly. You got a recovery potion. Zeke got even more confused. Recovery potion. The boy cheerfully replied, the regular kind. Zeke picked it up to examine. It doesn't look like poison. Don't tell me this is some spirit medicine. In truth, it was Yan Chuan Ming Tu, a potion made from extremely rare ingredients. More specifically, its components include herbs that only grow in secret realms plus cores filled with highly pure power from divine beasts and illusory beasts that are incredibly hard to even defeat. The specific effect is that when used, not only fresh wounds, but even old scars heal instantly, and it shows massive results in boosting power source. However, due to the extreme difficulty in gathering materials and the incredibly complex refinement process, it rarely ever appears. Zeke decided to try a sip of the Yun Chuan Ming Tu to see what was so special. Unexpectedly, the wound on his arm healed in an instant. He was really surprised. This really is spirit medicine, huh? Rangies explained, I don't know about spirit medicine, but the recovery potions the Eldragon family prepares are definitely better than the ones sold normally. The boy hesitated and asked, surprised a lot, huh? Zeke answered honestly, of course I'm surprised. Serious wounds like this healed instant. However, he felt a bit disappointed. It doesn't seem to boost the power source like spirit medicine. Rangies expressed, to me Zeke is even more shocking. Zeke muttered to himself, what are you saying? At the same time, he realized something. No, this really is the accumulated wisdom of humanity after more than 1,000 years. Meanwhile, the boy praised, you're really amazing. Zeke is insanely strong. Zeke replied casually, well yeah, I'm aiming to become the strongest. Rangies admired even more. You say stuff like that so calmly. Down on the field, the results kept coming. Number 373 pass. Number 395 pass. Number 405 pass. Hearing the results, Zeke silently marveled. Them passing was expected. Next, number 414. Even though he was terrified, the boy still resolved himself. My turn, I'll do it. Zeke shouted encouragement loudly. Hey, why are you so nervous? It's fine, just stay calm, don't set the bar too high. But when he saw Rangies preparing, Zeke sighed wearily. What the heck is that guy doing? The boy took a deep breath. The instructor signaled, begin. Right after that, Rangies closed his eyes and swung his sword blindly. The instructor coldly reminded, first attempt failed, 2 more left. The boy gritted his teeth, 1 more time, this time for sure. Rangies picked up the sword again and slashed hard at the stone. The second attempt was another miserable failure. The boy trembled and cried out, impossible. His so-called friends clutched their stomachs, laughing one after another. Just as expected, a pseudo-dragon's kid is still just a pseudo-dragon. Give up already. Taking the chance, the guy brought up the past. What did you say earlier? Retin jeered loudly. Didn't you say that Rangi's guy lying there was stronger than us? The taunts got nastier and nastier. Stop babbling, it's ridiculous. The dragon instructor asked for his opinion. 1 attempt left. Do you want to try again? Rangi's shook like a leaf. I. Somehow Zeke had already come to his side. What are you doing? Zeke asked in confusion. Why aren't you using a spear? Why take a sword? The boy didn't get what he meant, spear. What do you mean? Zeke explained calmly, like I said. Why use a weapon that doesn't suit you without any plan at all? Up on the stands, the guy poured fuel on the fire. With your current state, no matter how hard you try, you can't scratch that stone with a sword. The other trainees joined in laughing loudly. Are you stupid? His dad didn't use a spear. He taught him swordsmanship. Another group whispered to each other. Exactly. Changing weapons won't help anyway. Ignoring all that, Zeke politely asked, Honorable Examiner, is changing weapons mid-test against the rules? The instructor replied indifferently, no problem. Zeke beamed and pointed it out to Rangies. You heard him, Rangies. You're lucky, so then. He provoked on purpose to spark determination. Are you just gonna leave it like that? Images from the past suddenly flashed through the boy's mind. Rangies slowly stood up. No, I'll do it. And he decided to try the spear. Speaking of the past, my father couldn't enter the dragon's lair. Even so, he was gentle and caring. He treated Rangies so well. No matter if the boy was sad or happy, his dad always had the habit of ruffling his hair. He was called a pseudo-dragon and mocked. Even then my father didn't care about that and raised me to grow up. He taught Rangis the smallest things in life, taught him from how to hold a sword and use it properly. Back to the present in the middle of this plaza, Rangis silently swore to himself, the person my father raised isn't fake. Today right here I'll prove it. Even with that strong will, Rangis' mind was still a mess right now. He looked down at the spear in his hand and thought tensely, if I try again with the sword it'll be the same result. Since that's the case I'll trust Zeke, but how do I even use a spear? At that moment Zeke was right beside him and called out, Rangis. Then he pointed toward the regeneration stone and encouraged Rangis, just thrust straight ahead and don't think about anything else. Just thrust straight. Boosted by Zeke's encouragement, Rangis felt a bit less anxious though still a little nervous. Rangis gripped the spear tightly and muttered to himself for motivation, thrust straight forward. His mind unconsciously recalled the usual days of being mocked by Rhett, and the others then remembered Zeke always by his side. Rangis thought silently, normally if I think just thrusting straight with a spear I've never held before won't scratch the regeneration stone. But how can he say that without ever trying it once? Even though I've only just met him, this is pretty strange, but thinking that far the boy finally made up his mind. He raised the spear straight toward the regeneration stone and declared firmly, I get it, I'll try. Still he kept repeating to himself in his heart, since Zeke believed in me, I'll try believing in myself too. With that thought he charged toward the regeneration stone, and the spear in his hand faintly glowed with a soft light. Rangis seemed to feel the power the spear was giving him. He thought both excited and nervous. From holding the sword until now the flow inside me has never circulated this much. No more thinking, Rangis shouted, as he poured all his strength into a straight, powerful thrust at the regeneration stone. Retin and his crew, who hadn't seen the result, yet burst into loud laughter mocking him. See, I told you just changing weapons won't let him do jack shit. Slowing down the moment Rangis thrust at the regeneration stone. As the spear tip accelerated right before hitting the stone, he couldn't believe it and thought, it's like it was already part of my body from the very beginning. The sharp spear tip pierced at the speed of light. As the spear pierced through the regeneration stone's body, dust and debris exploded outward everywhere. Retin and the others were stunned, unable to believe their eyes, and shouted, What? The assistant instructor next to the dragon instructor was also stunned and exclaimed in shock, Oh my god. The dragon instructor's face stayed expressionless, but he still let out an amazed remark. The kid didn't just scratch it. He straight up pierced right through it. As Rangis' turn ended, Zeke immediately stood up, clapping in celebration. Awesome job, well done, Rangis. Rangis was still dazed and blankly asked, what did I even do? The dragon instructor wrote down the result while announcing, number 414, pass. Rangis stood there stunned, still gripping the spear in disbelief, and stammered, I pass. Zeke slung an arm around his shoulder, grinning wide, and repeated, Yep, you did it, just like I thought. After processing it, Rangis' eyes welled up with tears of joy as he mumbled, I passed. Done with that, he excitedly hugged Zeke tight and cheered, I did it, I really passed. Zeke chuckled and said, Told you so. Up on the stands, the two guys next to Retin started making a fuss, refusing to accept Rangis' talent. It was just a fluke. Yeah, that's it right, Rhett. At that moment, the dragon instructor announced loudly, the entrance examination has concluded. However, he looked at the list of passing students in his hand and continued, the matriculation ceremony will begin right now. Hearing that, Zeke curiously asked Rangis beside him, Matriculation ceremony, that's it, huh? Rangis quickly answered, Yeah, there might be other tests once we're enrolled. Zeke followed up, So what do we do now? Rangis wasn't sure either and just vaguely replied, Probably nothing for us to do right away. Just then steady footsteps approached. A dignified group slowly walked out into the center of the plaza. Upon seeing them, the dragon instructor spoke up, The leaders of the Eldragon family will now give a congratulatory speech to you all. Zeke paid attention to one man standing imposingly amid the group. Zeke curiously asked Rangis, Who's that gloomy-looking guy? Rangis paled in fear at Zeke calling him that, but honestly answered, That's the clan head. Zeke showed zero restraint and bluntly commented, The clan head, with a face like that. Can't he lighten up a bit? Ice would probably feel warmer than him. Hearing those words, Rangis freaked out and hurriedly covered Zeke's mouth, half pleading, half demanding, Please be quiet, okay? After that, the boy slowly removed his hand from Zeke's mouth, but was still sweating bullets, constantly reminding, Please stay silent, okay, okay. Zeke nodded and didn't say anything more. Zeke's gaze shifted back to the Eldragon family leaders as he silently wondered, but still. So that's the current strength of the Eldragon family. A few 7-star level, quite a few 6-star. It's a formidable force indeed. Thinking that far, he couldn't help but marvel inward. However, Zeke looked at the clan head man and pondered further, and the current clan head Baltza Eldragon, looking at the mysterious aura emanating from him, Zeke silently assessed, I'd guess he's 8-star level. Based on what he knew, that level was extremely rare. 1,000 years ago, there weren't even 12 people in the world who had 8-star. I don't know how it is in this era, but thinking that far, he didn't bother keeping it in his head anymore and just said it out loud. I don't like that guy. Hearing that, Rangi's whipped around staring at him. Zeke quickly reined it in realizing that was his father. The other Eldragon leaders stepped aside to clear a path for Baltza to reach the center. The dragon instructor loudly signaled everyone. A few words from Lord Baltza. Attention. Baltza walked straight and rigidly to the very center. Baltza spoke, his voice carrying no warmth at all, delivering a brief statement. Strive hard and become the flesh and blood of Eldrag. His words unleashed a strange magical pressure that blasted towards Zeke. Everyone sitting on the stands couldn't escape it, either getting blown back like they might fly away. Noisy voices started whispering to each other. Impossible, can't even breathe. Zeke was completely unaffected, but when he looked over at Rangi's, who was struggling to breathe, face turning purple, he called out worriedly, Rangi's. Glancing at the others around who were also gasping for air, Zeke vaguely realized even the other kids were being crushed under this guy's pressure. Thinking that, he frowned in disgust and silently thought, what a terrifying hatred. I don't know what happened, but I really don't like it. Only when Baltza turned and withdrew did the plaza's atmosphere slowly return to normal. Suddenly, applause rang out. Another man, also a leader in the Eldragon family, laughed heartily and continued Baltza's speech. Yes, truly precious words of encouragement. Lord Baltza has high expectations for you kids. Zeke paid attention to him, silently wondering who that is. Meanwhile, the man's booming voice kept echoing as he spoke, so I won't bother with too many greetings. Strive hard, young ones. With that, he burst into laughter again. Zeke was still curious inside. Who is he anyway? As he stepped back, the man casually chatted with the dragon instructor. The dragon instructor teased. Seriously, you said it like you actually meant it. The man joked back playfully. People who worry over petty stuff go bald, you know. Whatever, never mind his identity. Zeke just silently marveled at that moment. I don't get what's going on, but at least the atmosphere has lightened up. After that wave of pressure, the students on the stands stayed dead silent, not daring to say a word. No one even breathed too loudly, while Zeke couldn't care less about any of this nonsense and just sat there blankly staring down at the plaza. Now the dragon instructor held a list in hand and announced loudly, we will now announce dormitory assignments. Anyone whose name is called move immediately. Hearing that, Zeke immediately asked Rangi's curiously, aren't we all going to the same place? Rangi's explained based on what he knew. No, actually there are 4 dragons' lair. New students get assigned to the corresponding grand halls for east, west, south, and north. Hearing that, Zeke nodded understanding. Got it. At that moment, the dragon instructor read out, number 315. Zeke stood up smiling as he bid farewell to Rangi's. My turn, take care, Rangi's. Rangi's sincerely wished him back. Yeah, you too, Zeke. At the Eastern Dragon's lair, rows of stately classical buildings with wide, shady courtyard. Right now, Zeke was holding a note in hand, scratching his head in frustration. After 1,000 years, so much has changed. Turn here. Finally, after struggling to find the way, he reached his dorm room and sighed in relief. Here it is. Oh man, I got lost and ended up late. My roommate's probably already here. With that, Zeke turned the doorknob. Opening the door, he cheerfully waved hello to the person inside and said friendly, sorry for making you wait. Starting today, we're roommates. Vaguely looking at the person in front of him, he paused slightly and asked in confusion, you're... Zeke flashed a toothy grin and sighed in amusement. Looks like we've got some serious fate tying us together, Rangi. The blue-haired boy smiled back and replied, yeah, really. I was kinda scared I'd end up alone. This is great. After that, he plopped down onto the bed. So nothing else to do today, Rangi's walked over beside Zeke and answered, yep, training sessions start tomorrow. Zeke immediately pouted and muttered, right. Seeing that reaction, the boy couldn't help asking back, were you even listening? The instructor said it clear as day. Zeke grinned wide and shot a thumbs up. Nope, didn't hear a single word. Rangi's instantly yelled, that's not something to brag about. Then he switched to a stern tone and said, anyway, we should sleep early. Training kicks off tomorrow. Under the soft glow of sunset streaming through the window, Zeke just sat there quietly lost in thought, without saying anything more. He suddenly recalled everything he'd been through and silently calculated. I was planning to ditch this boring house and go adventuring, but that regeneration stone and that potion. So many interesting things happened during the entrance exam. Zeke unconsciously turned his gaze toward the window and murmured to himself, to figure out what all changed after 1,000 years staying with the Eldragon clan. A bit longer doesn't sound half bad. Time flew by quickly, and a month later at the Eldragon clan's stronghold. On the training ground right now, a bunch of kids were trembling as they lifted weights with both hands while someone kept shouting loudly, listen up, the dragon breath I taught you is an incredible breathing technique created by the 15th clan head of the Eldragon family. The dragon instructor stood tall and stern, continuing in a loud voice. You all need to master this ultimate skill and use it flawlessly in every situation. As soon as he finished, he turned his head, gazing thoughtfully in a certain direction. Right now, Lika in front of him had her eyes closed, using the technique perfectly, making him ponder. A lot of them have already mastered dragon breath, especially since the young lady's primal energy is starting to overflow, showing she's close to reaching 2-star level. But the dragon instructor shifted his doubtful gaze elsewhere, and that kid, Zeke, sitting off to the side, was casually lifting weights while carrying 3 more large and small stones on his body. What the hell is this really? Even though the clan head's blood flows in him, he never had any proper guidance or formal training. The dragon instructor stood behind him, silently observing, still unable to hide his shock. But what kind of scene is this? Meanwhile, Zeke was calmly breathing in and out while silently thinking in his mind, I never expected the Dragon King breath technique that I created got improved and spread widely under the name Dragon Breath. He sat cross-legged with a slightly bored expression while a golden aura enveloped his body. The breathing technique is a skill for absorbing energy from the air into the body and circulating it to naturally upgrade the power source. The key to its effectiveness lies in the user's skill and precision. That's why prestigious families create their own methods and keep the perfected ultimate techniques as supreme secrets. Zeke closed his eyes and thought silently, Dragon Breath is pretty safe and easy to learn, but if the goal is just calming the mind, then I don't need it. The mature silhouette of his past life suddenly appeared in his mind, the Dragon King breath secret passed down by Gilfa's Eldragon. The only breathing technique that lets you control energy without interrupting your breath, even while moving. Its effect is massive, but very few can inherit it because the difficulty is insanely high. In Zeke's head, a process of how this breathing technique was passed down suddenly formed, and he immediately guessed. So they deliberately simplified it so anyone could use it, and in turn raise the overall strength of the entire clan. I never thought my technique would be passed down to future generations in such a changed form. That's kinda touching. I wonder if the other martial arts after 1,000 years have been altered like this too. Really looking forward to finding out. In a corner, Zeke couldn't see Lika was secretly watching him with her eye. Not long after the kids finished training and started their meal in the dining hall. Amid the lively chatter, suddenly, 2 little kids stared in horror at the arm, reaching out to grab a plate of food. Zeke happily opened his mouth wide, ready to chomp down on the bite he'd just taken, with food crumbs still stuck around his lips. While chewing, Zeke casually asked with concern, "What's up? You look kinda lost in thought, Rangies. If you don't eat, you won't get stronger, you know." Rangies helplessly shot back, "How are you so full of energy? Your stamina is seriously weird." Zeke just shrugged nonchalantly and teased, "That's because you're too weak." Zeke chuckled and pushed the plate of buns forward. "Eat more and train harder. No choice, take this." The blue-haired boy groaned miserably, "I already have my own portion." Right in the next second, Zeke suddenly glanced behind him. Anyway, some of them really are well-trained, huh? At the same time, Lika suddenly walked up beside him and spoke, "Hey, you're pretty good, right? Who are you anyway?" Thinking that in his head, Zeke still instinctively replied, "Who are you?" Rangies next to him heard and immediately spat out the water he'd just drunk, huh? The boy quickly pulled Zeke close and whispered knowledge. "Zeke, you don't know. This is young Lady Lika, daughter of the clan head." Zeke replied blankly, "Nope, don't know." Rangies freaked out and yelled, "No way. She's one of the candidates for the next clan head position. Normally, we don't even have the right to talk to her." Getting his face shoved close, Zeke blurted out, "If that's the case, then I'm the clan head's son too, even if I'm the bastard." Rangies froze in shock in an instant, while Lika opposite him suddenly exclaimed, "Really?" She kept a calm expression and asked again, "You're the clan head's illegitimate child, successor candidate Lika Typhona Eldra." Zeke leaned on his hand and answered right away, "Why would I lie about something like that?" Lika pressed further, "Then how can you be strong enough to crush the regeneration stone bare hand?" She slammed her hand hard on the table as she spoke. "An illegitimate child with no backing. How could you do that?" Zeke turned back to cutting his meat, then slowly replied, "Well, because it's me." Rangies stopped spacing out and eat. Zeke's answer left Lika silent for a brief moment, right after she suddenly grinned wide and said, "You're really interesting." Lika casually sat down next to him and offered, "So how about it, become my subordinate?" Zeke gave her a dead fish stare. "Huh, what did you say?" Lika repeated the invitation while laying out the benefits. "I'm asking if you want to be under me. I'll be your backing. You want allies too, right?" In her mind at that moment, a scene appeared of the two of them standing side by side in the future. Lika propped one hand on the table, smiling as she painted the future picture. "Then use your strength to help me become clan head. Of course, I'll treat you well once I'm clan head, so how about it?" Zeke closed his eyes and refused instantly, "No thanks." Lika suddenly lowered her voice, making him glance over. "What's wrong? Don't tell me." She coldly released a strong, intimidating aura. "You're planning to go for the clan head position yourself, huh?" Zeke sensed that aura and only thought, She's at the 2-star threshold, able to radiate spiritual energy outside her body at this age. Interesting. But he answered indifferently, do whatever you want. I'm not interested in becoming clan head or any clan stuff. Lika couldn't help being surprised. She slammed the table and stood up. What's even left? Before she finished, something suddenly flashed past her face. Zeke's expression darkened as he slammed the knife in his hand hard into the table. The spot where Zeke stabbed the knife was just a few centimeters from Lika's finger. Zeke widened his eyes, glowing with golden sharpness, and said, I don't serve anyone. Because I'm the strongest. Under that gaze, Lika's whole body suddenly stiffened like she'd been shocked. What? Her face paled as she thought silently, am I at a disadvantage? At that moment, Rangi's trembled as he stood up to intervene. Calm down. But Lika suddenly shouted in an angry tone, then I'll force you to submit. Fight me. Zeke kept chewing while looking over in confusion. Meanwhile, Rangi's next to him had frozen in fear. A bit later, a kid walking by turned his head and asked, where are you guys going? The training ground. There's a spar between new recruits. And it's with young Lady Lika. The kid heard that and exclaimed in shock, young Lady Lika, of the Typhona branch with who? Why, what happened? Who knows? Right now at the training ground, the other new recruits who came to watch hid behind the wall, whispering to each other. They say it's a spar. Who's that guy? Zeke at this point was rubbing his head, muttering, things just got tense, huh? Rangi's asked worriedly beside him, are you okay? Your opponent is young Lady Lika. Zeke replied calmly, even if you say that, I still don't know who she is, and why'd you suddenly switch to formal speech? The blue-haired boy widened his eyes and shouted, of course, you're the clan head son. Zeke just smiled lightly and said, I'll do whatever you want, more important. Rangi's clung to his arm and rattled off a long string. Please think carefully. Lika is the daughter of current clan head Bautza, and she carries the bloodline of the Typhona family, one of the 4 pillar branches of the Eldragon house. She's a genius who mastered all variations of the Great Thunder Sword, inherited from the Typhona clan, since she was 7, just like the other extremely talented children of Lord Bautza. As soon as he finished, Zeke raised his hand blankly. Sorry, I only caught that she's the clan head's daughter. Rangi's freaked out and yelled. Why? Zeke explained, everything's new to me. The blue-haired boy groaned, holding his head. How is this happening? Don't ask. But Zeke suddenly spoke to comfort him. Not knowing makes it even more interesting, though. He bared his teeth in a grin and exclaimed, super interesting. Even seeing Zeke's reaction, Rangi's was still worried. Even if Lord Zeke is strong, facing young Lady Lika is still way too disadvantageous. Why'd you accept the challenge? Zeke rubbed his chin and answered, well, when someone challenges me, I don't back down. Right after saying that, Zeke turned to look ahead. Looks like she's here. Lika planted her sword into the ground with an angry expression full of blazing momentum and declared, enough casual chit-chat, it's over here. Lika propped her sword on the ground, shouting loudly in question, done talking yet? Rangi's trembled in fear. Zeke beside him smiled and replied, ready, everything's set. Rangi's panicked, covering his face while yelling, just please be careful. Zeke stayed put, calmly asking Lika, careful. That depends on you. Why are you so determined to challenge me anyway? She answered confidently, I want to become clan head. To do that, I need to make you submit and join me. Zeke asked wearily, what do you mean? He thought silently, what does this have to do with me anyway? Lika darkened her face and said, wait, you don't know anything about the current situation in our clan, is it because you're illegitimate? Zeke hesitated and replied, well, I might know something if you ask straight. Lika immediately explained, listen carefully. Including you and me, there are 5 candidates for the next clan head position. Everyone, except you, is already allied with one of the 4 branches of the Eldragon family. She thought about each person's strength and background, then continued, which branch produces the next clan head is extremely important, so all of us being in the dragon's lair is to represent our branch and compete with each other. I need more power to face my brother. Zeke frowned, thinking, so right now there's a showdown between the 4 branches. Complicated stuff. I'm not even sure I get it anymore. Then he said, got it. After that, Lika drew her sword and said, therefore, as a candidate for the next clan head, I need to strengthen my own forces even more. She declared. That's why Lika leaped up. Zeke warily raised his head. Lika raised her sword, charging toward him, shouting loudly, right here, I'll defeat. Lika slashed straight down, but Zeke nimbly dodged to the side. He tilted his head again to avoid another slash from Lika. She angrily roared, I won't let you escape. One trainee exclaimed in shock, so fast. The friend beside him commented, she handles that massive greatsword so easily. Lika kept pursuing Zeke. The observing trainees buzzed with discussion. Her power source control is so precise, and her attacks are getting faster and faster. This is the strength of an heir from one of the main branches, the power of the clan head's direct children. It's only a matter of time before this match reaches its climax. Lika gritted her teeth, wondering why. She swung her sword, but Zeke dodged again, Then he quickly stood behind her back, smiling teasingly. He grinned and said, I can't even land a single hit. Rangi's widened his eyes in admiration. Amazing. On the field, Zeke looked at her, muttering in evaluation, this martial art I've never seen before, and with this speed, it's not something you'd see from a 1-star level. Lika angrily shouted, shut up and focus on the fight. Zeke clenched his fist and replied, I am focused, that's why. Lika froze in confusion, looking at him. Zeke had somehow punched straight into her stomach. He said coldly, I can counterattack like this. Lika coughed painfully in agony. She planted her sword into the ground, bending forward, clutching her stomach in pain. The trainees standing outside buzzed in disbelief. No way. Every single attack from young Lady Lika missed completely. Who the hell is that guy? Lika raised her head, gritting her teeth, demanding, why none of my attacks hit you? For a 1-star like you, I should have overwhelming speed. I should be way faster than you. Zeke smiled and replied, you're definitely much faster than any 1-star I've ever met. He glanced at her and added, but you're still just 1-star level yourself. Lika angrily shot back, aren't you 1-star too? You shouldn't even be able to keep up with my movements. Zeke gave a faint smile. Simple, really. He observed her body, then said, you're breathing, the way your eyes move, how you tense your muscle. Zeke explained, just by watching those things, you can read most movements. The rest comes down to experience. At that moment, Lika forced herself to stand up. She swung her sword toward him, roaring, that's ridiculous. He leaned back, dodging Lika's attack, and said, I told you so. After that, he planted his hands on the ground, bending backward, and kicked Lika with his legs. She gritted her teeth in fury. Zeke clenched his fist, aiming at her, saying, I can read it all. Lika got punched flying by Zeke, slamming her whole body into the wall. Zeke frowned, staying silent. One trainee shouted, young Lady Lika. The others around gasped in shock. Impossible. She actually lost. Young Lady Lika lost. Rangis ran over, exclaiming, Lord Zeke, that's incredible. He beat young Lady Lika. Zeke coldly corrected, no, not quite yet. As the dust slowly cleared, Lika stomped her foot. Zeke smiled, commenting, she focused all her power source into her core to tank my hit. Not bad at all. Lika clutched her stomach, breathing heavily in pain. Rangis panicked, urging young Lady Lika, that's enough. Zeke cut in. Rangis stepped back. I won't be responsible if you get caught in the crossfire. A faint aura radiated around Lika. He said she already showed signs earlier, but has she really reached 2-star now? Lika wiped the blood from her face, slowly walking back onto the arena floor. The surrounding trainees exclaimed in shock, hey, isn't that, yeah, no mistake, that's the 2-star mark, a white halo. Zeke thought silently, 2-star, the state where you can release your power source outside the body to use martial techniques. The released power is called halo. Lika adjusted her hair, saying, thanks to you, I've broken through to 2-star, and now. She furrowed her brow, glaring at Zeke. Lika swung her sword, shouting loudly, you don't stand a chance anymore. Zeke dodged her attack, laughing heartily. Fast hug. Lika slashed another arc at him. Zeke pretended to marvel, surprisingly quick. Suddenly a small cut appeared on his cheek. Zeke thought inwardly, what the? He touched the wound, pondering, I swear I dodged it, though. Lika stepped forward, saying, see that? A pale white aura emanated from Lika's entire body as she approached, saying, this is my ability. Lika raised her sword to her chest, continuing, now I've obtained the 2-star halo. Golden lightning bolts appeared around her. Lika declared, I'll show you the true thunder sword technique. Zeke stood still, muttering, so I'll finally get to see a martial art I've never encountered before. He burst out laughing, this is gonna be awesome. At that moment, a flash of light erupted. Thunder great sword technique, thunder flash. Lightning crackled relentlessly over Zeke's whole body. Wait, what the? He smiled, asking, so you're controlling lightning? That's way too overpowered. Lika raised her sword high, shouting at someone who says crap like that. She slammed the sword straight into the ground. Lightning bolts shot upward. Zeke quickly leaped high. You're looking like you're enjoying this thunder net. He grinned, looking at Lika. It's completely different from before. These bolts are tough even for me right now. The spectators above exclaimed, what kind of fight is this? Just one level difference, and everything changes this much. Rangis's face was full of terror and worry, watching below Lord Zeke. On his side, Zeke kept observing her weapon, calculating, right now her actual movements are still pretty straightforward. Nothing changed too drastically, but he stared straight into her sharp eyes the moment she reached 2-star and gained the halo. The power of thunder great sword exploded intensely. I thought she was just faster, but now she's even quicker, plus those lightning bolts are so mysterious. Zeke smiled, charging forward. Being able to envelop someone in lightning like this, I could counter right now, but he couldn't help hesitating inwardly, looking at Lika's sword paths. I'm really curious what this power truly is. On her side, she smirked triumphantly, still smiling. In a situation like this, You look awfully relaxed if that's the case. Lika swiftly slashed toward him. I'll wipe that smile off your face. Then her footsteps lifted rapidly. Lika immediately unleashed Thunder Flash Shift. He dodged to the side, evaluating this move. It's like a lightning pillar hut. Far away, an explosion erupted, dirt and rocks flying everywhere. Rangis saw it and immediately leaped over the wall, jumping down. Worried Lord Zeke. The people behind shouted, "Hey, wait." At that moment, Zeke still stood tall, wearing that same smile. To Lika, it felt like provocation, so she quickly followed up with Thunder Flash. He got hit and couldn't help dropping to one knee to brace himself. Over there, Rangis ran up at the same time. "Young lady Lika, please stop. If this continues," why her voice turned mocking, "isn't he still holding up fine?" Lightning crackled over Lika's body. "Don't you think stopping now would be an insult to him?" The boy, still worried, turned to Zeke. "Lord Zeke, please, just surrender over here." She reminded him, "Actually, I think he's right. You're in pretty bad shape. How about this? If you surrender and submit to me, I'll stop right." Zeke lowered his head, smiling silently without answering. Seeing that, Lika said cheerfully, "So even as a bastard child, you're still a proud Eldragon. How I get it, fine. Then I'll finish you with everything I've got." After that, she raised her sword, high, powerful lightning bolts, striking down. Great sword technique. Secret art, first form, heavenly thunder. That lightning struck straight into Zeke's body, forming a pillar of light. He was immediately shocked, until his vision went white. Lightning sounds, crackling loud. Rangis panicked, rushing forward, shouting worriedly, "Lord Zeke." After that, Zeke immediately collapsed unconscious, on the ground, no longer moved. Lika roughly planted her sword into the ground. She turned away, not caring anymore. What a shame, but the match ends. Right at that moment, a voice rang out. "I get it now." From behind Lika, a pillar of light appeared. She jolted in fear, turning around. "Impossible. How do you have lightning halo?" Zeke stood tall, still smiling, letting out an "Oh, so this is called lightning halo." He answered cheerfully, "You ask how." Zeke crossed his arms, looking completely serious. "I don't really know either." Lika froze in stunned silence. He continued happily, "I deliberately took your attacks to figure out this power, but somehow I can use it too." She repeated, hearing that you can use it, that doesn't mean. In Zeke's mind, he thought joyfully, while receiving those mysterious lightning attacks, I kept using the breathing technique, Dragon King Breath. Recalling how Lika's whole body radiated lightning, and then what happened, Dragon King Breath reacted to her lightning orb. Lightning bolts appeared on Zeke's hand, and lightning started accumulating inside my body. He smiled, wiping the dirt from his face. Before I realized it, I could already manipulate that lightning amount. Not sure of the exact principle, but I must have some special physique. No, wait. Zeke looked straight at Lika, continuing, "If we consider that great sword technique as your family's inherited martial art, should I assume your entire family has a special physique?" So he quickly walked toward her, hypothesizing that the power source itself can follow lightning properties. "Yes, this has been an excellent training session." Zeke raised his hand, lightning bolts appearing moreover. He smiled, clenching his fist, his whole body radiating powerful lightning. "Thanks to you, I've also reached 2-star. The match isn't." Zeke's eyes quickly glanced in one direction. At that moment, Lika suddenly slashed her sword toward. Zeke smiled, raising his head, continuing over yet. After that, lightning flashed brightly. He moved at incredible speed. After using the new ability, Zeke couldn't help exclaiming, "This is." He silently analyzed the flow of this power in his head right now. As the power source increases, it affects all nerves and reinforces the body. What an astonishing special physique. All my senses are enhanced. So Zeke murmured to himself, "I need to get used to it a bit." Over there, Rangis still hadn't recovered from the shock. A battle between clan head candidates. Just watching, I can barely keep up. Am I imagining this? At that moment, the two charged at each other. Zeke easily dodged her attacks. The boy exclaimed in shock. Inwardly, young lady Lika's lightning-like slashes can't hit anymore. Lika lost her composure, angrily shouting, "Are you mocking me?" Zeke smiled casually, saying, "I'm not teasing you at all." After that, Zeke swiftly charged forward, striking straight at her sword. "I really do see you as a formidable opponent." Lika sensed the powerful force and immediately retreated, gripping her sword. He rotated his wrist, warming up his body, while laughing. "The distance is about right now. Time to end this match. It's been going on for a while, or maybe I should create a new move." Over there, she still stunned, asked, "A new move?" Zeke answered, "Yep, first form. No, maybe call it a secret technique." At this point, Lika's expression lost composure, terrified inside a technique. So he really was trained in some secret martial art, from which branch creating a technique, so casually like that I really can't understand. Suddenly, he appeared in front of her, smiling, saying, distracted, "Huh." Lika jolted back with a startled cry, "Oh no." before she could even dodge Zeke's hand, slammed straight into her chest Dragon Devastation's secret technique. He poured every ounce of strength into the attack Extreme Thunder Claw. She got zapped so hard her whole body spasmed, both knees buckling as she dropped to the ground. A voice rang out in front of Rangis's stunned face. The match is over. Zeke smiled down at Lika, sighing. That was seriously one hell of an interesting fight. She forced herself up, still in disbelief. No way I lost. Lika's teeth ground together in frustration. I have to become clan head, no matter what. She looked up at the sky with a sad expression. I have to beat my brother. In her mind's eye, she saw her brothers still looking down on her. I have to become clan head. I absolutely cannot lose. Right then Zeke spoke up. That's amazing, you're really strong. Lika flinched at the word. He bent down, adding, I learned a ton of new stuff. It was genuinely fascinating. This whole time meant a lot. Zeke extended his hand right in front of her, smiling brightly. It'd be boring if this was our only spar. Let's train together again, okay, Lika? Lika's cheeks flushed a little as she looked up emotionally. Zeke reached toward Lika, grinning wide. I'm really looking forward to the next one. She took his hand, then smiled back. How could I even compare? I lost. A few hours later, inside the rift, countless monsters appeared. A man stood surrounded by a swarm of beasts. Baltza calmly watched them charge straight at him. He furrowed his brow. Baltza's eyes flashed instantly. Overwhelming killing intent erupted behind him. The silhouette of a roaring dragon appeared. Baltza muttered, dragon might. He drew his sword and rushed toward the monster. Baltza swung in a wide arc, thinking dragon chi destruction, martial art. First form origin. Sword energy scattered, wiping out hordes of monsters. Then Baltza sheathed his blade. The soldiers behind him immediately charged in the rift gate. Slowly opened. Baltza walked leisurely toward it. A soldier bowed, reporting, Lord Baltza, I have something to report. Baltza asked, what is it? The soldier said, young lady Lika has reached 2-star, sir. Baltza stopped in his track. He glanced at the soldier and asked coldly, and the soldier stammered, reaching 2-star at her age is already a remarkable achievement. With young lady Lika's talent, by the time she graduates from the dragon's lair, she could reach 4. No, she might even hit 5-star. Baltza declared coldly, talent means nothing. Report to me when the girl becomes useful. If you came here just for trivial nonsense like this, then get lost. The soldier paused, then added, but young lady Lika was defeated. Baltza asked in surprise, did the girl challenge one of the older ones? The soldier replied, no sir, the one who defeated young lady Lika was a child her age, young Master Zeke. Baltza murmured in surprise, Zeke, that woman's child. He hesitated. That's right, that woman had heaven-defying martial talent, but Baltza looked at the soldier, questioning. Even so, she died right after giving birth to the boy, didn't she, who taught him the skills to beat a 2-star? The soldier, recalling Zeke, answered, about that young Master Zeke defeated young lady Lika without any guidance from anyone, and he reached 2-star through his own power. Baltza ordered, I see, then begin the first phase of training. The soldier asked in shock, I mean no offense, but isn't it too soon? They've only had formal combat training for about a month, and most of the kids haven't even reached 1-star yet. Baltza said coldly, so whether they've learned combat or not, death treats everyone equally. Only the strong survive. Those who can't even pass the first trial, no matter their star level, he declared, are not worthy of being Eldrac. The soldier bowed. As you command, Sir. Baltza suddenly added, report this to Freya. The soldier asked, confused. Freya. Sir Baltza replied, yes, the fact that the boy claims he beat Lika on his own is quite intriguing. As he walked into the rift, he continued, Freya will be assigned to oversee the content and the entire process, have her monitor every detail of the trial closely. The soldier immediately saluted, understood. Baltza smirked, muttering, Zeke, interesting indeed. The next day at the training ground, the trainees were going all out. Rangis was pushing hard to improve himself too. On Zeke's side, he had stones and weights loaded all over his body, thinking silently, dragon seal battle art, today's plan double. The weights, 1 large stone, 2 medium stones, horse stand. Zeke recalled, like dragon breath. This was created by the 15th clan head. Even though it's called a battle art, it's basically a body-strengthening technique, designed to be so complete even kids can master it easily. Rangis walked over, asking, Lord Zeke, aren't you going to train? He immediately replied, what are you talking about? I am training. The boy hesitated, no, I mean not physical training. I meant practicing the dragon seal battle art. Zeke answered calmly, I already learned it. The boy exclaimed in shock, what, you just learned it earlier? And you've already mastered it? Zeke closed his eyes, saying, of course. More importantly, Rangis, your power flow is going in the wrong direction. Rangis froze, Zeke dropped the stones and weights, saying, here. He raised his hand, pointing at the boy's body, saying, look. Turn around. Rangis asked blankly, did I just float? He murmured, yes. A surge of energy suddenly glowed. Zeke placed his hand on Rangi's shoulder, channeling power into his body. When he finished, Zeke said, "This is the correct flow," Rangi's said, in awe. "Thank you so much, Lord Zeke." Rangi's looked at him seriously. "You really mastered it, as expected from Lord Zeke." Zeke shouted, "What, you doubting me? What kind of person are you?" Rangi's awkwardly replied, "Sorry, I didn't mean it like that. This is the first time anyone besides my father has taught me, so I always feel desperate." He recalled Zeke's fight with Lika and continued, "But Lord Zeke, you already have strong enough martial arts to beat young Lady Lika, so I thought Dragon Seal battle art might feel too simple and boring for you." Zeke crossed his arms, saying, "That's not true at all. I'm completely impressed by how stable Dragon Seal battle art is." He thought inwardly, "After all, my technique, Dragon Devastation, isn't suitable for kids. They think it's too complex and difficult." Zeke pondered. Dragon Devastation, battle art complex and grueling, but overwhelmingly superior in raw power, like a constitution. It starts with first form, then second, third, fourth. He thought of an ancient tree and a silver dragon. Zeke recalled besides that there's the secret technique born from the fight with Lika, and there's still the final form, the one with overwhelming destructive power from defeating the divine dragon. I'm really curious about the other dragon techniques. Maybe those martial arts have been modified too." Zeke thought happily, "This is exciting." Then he smiled, saying, "Anyway, I've finished learning Dragon Seal battle art, so I'm just doing my usual body training. Everyone progresses at their own pace." Rangi's replied, "I understand." Suddenly Rangi's shouted, "Lord Zeke." The boy suggested, "Please train me. I want you to guide me like just now." Zeke widened his eyes, continuing, "I know it's a shameless request, but Rangi's yelled, "I want to get stronger, even just a little." Zeke laughed, saying, "I don't mind at all." The boy asked blankly, "Really? Is that okay?" Zeke replied, "What's with that reaction? You were the one who asked." He continued, "I'm not lying. Besides, you deserve it." At that moment, Lika walked over shyly, saying, "In that case, I want you to train me too." Rangi's muttered in shock. Even young Lady Lika asked sternly, "Is there a problem?" Lika explained honestly, "I thought no one my age could beat me because I'm a candidate for the next clan head, but in yesterday's fight, you completely overwhelmed me and somehow deployed Lightning Halo and used it better than I did." She shouted, embarrassed. "My pride got totally shattered by you." Zeke sighed, "My fault." Rangi's beside him gave an awkward laugh. "Oh well." Lika looked at him determined, "But I want to get even stronger, strong enough to beat my brothers, and even you, so please train me too." She asked, "Is that okay?" Zeke stayed silent, thinking. Lika looked a bit disappointed. "Not allowed, I get it. Since you're also a potential heir, training with your rival probably isn't okay." Zeke stood quietly thinking. She silently accepted, thinking back, "Yeah, he's a candidate for heir too. Even if illegitimate, he's still the clan head son." After thinking for a while, he spoke, "I don't mind, but is your body really okay? That injury should have left you unable to move for a month." Lika nodded, explaining, "I used recovery potion, so no problem. You worry about weird stuff." Hearing that, Zeke leaned close to Rangi's ear, whispering, "I get it. That freaky potion worked like some divine miracle." The boy whispered back, "If you mean the one from the entrance exam, that one isn't that effective." Rangi's pointed at her, affirming, with young Lady Lika's personality. This time, she used a better one. Zeke couldn't help marveling, "What an amazing era, huh?" Lika blushed furiously. "What do you mean? If I didn't have recovery potion, I'd really be bedridden for a month. But more importantly, so you really will train me? You need time for your own training too." Zeke shrugged, smiling, "Of course, I'd never turn down a young, ambitious kid." She stared, blank-faced question marks popping up. "Young kid, you're young too, right? Aren't we?" Rangi's also doubted. "We're the same age." He casually whistled, "Yeah, that's true." To make sure, Zeke asked again, "You sure, Lika? I'm the one who beat you, remember?" She said, determined. "No issue. I don't get to be picked." Lika clenched her fists, eyes full of resolve. "Getting stronger means becoming clan head. I'll do whatever it takes." Zeke asked curiously, "Earlier, when you challenged me, you mentioned the clan head position, right? Why are you so obsessed with becoming clan head?" She hesitated a bit. "Oh, of course, it's obvious." Lika slowly explained, "If I don't become clan head, the only future left for me is marriage, a political one. If I'm lucky, I'll end up as the wife of some annoying cousin. Otherwise, I'll be forced to become someone's concubine." Hearing that, Zeke's face darkened. "What?" She shrugged like it was obvious. "Yeah, maintaining the Eldragon bloodline is that important, especially for the four great families. Don't you know our primal origin energy is unique, meaning it can be used in countless ways." Zeke suddenly flared up with anger. "Screw running away, those bastards make me sick. Just thinking about it." Rangi's beside him trembled, seeing. He clenched his fists, ranting, "What the hell do they think people are this summer when they do shit like that? Those damn outdated customs. I'll destroy every last." Right at the peak, the instructor's stern voice rang out, "Attention." Lika had no clue what just happened and asked, "What's going on?" Zeke looked totally deflated. Right at the worst possible moment, Rangi's looked like He was about to burst into tears that scared the crap out of me. The three of them turned together toward where the instructor had just shouted for attention. He announced loudly, starting today, a new instructor will be joining us despite a packed schedule. She personally came to guide all of you, so be grateful that person. While everyone was still focused listening, a girl with blazing red hair suddenly stepped up beside Lika. She reached out, gently brushing a strand of Lika's hair, then asked, "Aren't you young lady Lika right?" Lika jolted and turned to look. The moment their eyes met, she instinctively leaped back. In an instant, Rangi's freaked out and clung tightly to Zeke. The red-haired girl feigned surprise. "Oh my." She winked in praise. "Amazing reflexes, and your spiritual energy isn't half bad either." Zeke, still locked in Rangi's death grip, thought to himself, "I didn't sense her presence at all." The boy trembled, asking, "Who the hell is this person?" The dragon instructor raised his hand to introduce this. Before he could finish, the person beside him cut in, still as quick as ever. "Huh. Young lady Freja," she cheerfully waved. "Hi, nice to meet you all." Freja glanced, probing at Zeke. "And you're Zeke, right?" he answered, without hesitation. "Yeah." She looked surprised. "You don't seem shocked at all," he replied calmly. "Because, young lady, there's nothing surprising here, but..." For some reason, Freja's brows suddenly furrowed at whatever she saw. Zeke smirked, his pupils gleaming. "Seems this young lady possesses quite an interesting martial art." Freja thought inwardly, so that's it. No wonder the clan head paid attention to this one. Across from her, Zeke rubbed his chin, marveling. Her stealth technique is seriously impressive. But what's even more special is the martial art she's mastered. He was full of curiosity. Right now, most of her primal origin energy flow is concentrated in her lower body. But this kind of flow, I've never seen anything like it before. That's probably why her footsteps make zero sound, even in those shoes. What kind of martial art is this? So intriguing. Freja spun on her heel, stepping toward the instructors, her tone turning more serious now. Then she still kept that friendly smile as announced, "Just now, from today onward, I'll be your instructor. Let's work hard, everyone." The other trainees buzzed excitedly. "Wait, isn't that the Gale goddess Freja? Oh my god, the real deal in the flesh, awesome." The dragon instructor reminded sternly, "Young lady Freja here has reached 6-star level. She's one of the key members of the Black Dragon Guard. Everyone learn everything you can from." Hearing that, the trainees huddled, whispering, "Black Dragon Guard? That's the elite guard directly under the clan head, right? Why would someone like that show up here out of nowhere?" One brave kid raised his hand. "Are you really going to train us, young lady Freja?" She smiled brightly. "Of course, but..." She emphasized, "Only if you pass my test." Those words hit like thunder. The kids clutched their faces in dread. A test out of nowhere like this. Freja pulled out a motivational spirit crystal. "Don't worry, it's pretty easy. You just need to keep this crystal intact and survive in Poison Dragon Mountain for 1 month." Rangi's gaped. "Poison Dragon Mountain?" Zeke perked up too. What a familiar name. Speaking of Poison Dragon Mountain, it's a land teeming with extremely poisonous creatures. Even touching an ordinary-looking blade of grass there can kill you. It's safe to say this place is pure death. He recalled in his previous life, "I used to train there a lot back." Then Zeke had curiously tasted some fruits and got goosebumps all over. They tasted awful, he wondered. But for these kids, isn't this a bit too soon? Freja warned, "If your crystal breaks or gets lost during the trial, you're immediately disqualified." A trembling kid raised his hand. "And if we fail, what happens?" She smiled naturally. "You'll be expelled if you survive." Freja explained, "Getting poisoned can be handled easily by using dragon breath technique. Precisely. As long as you keep your crystal intact, everything will be fine." "Simple, right?" Lika spoke up, "But instructor, there are monsters there too." She feigned surprise. "Oh dear." "Then just defeat them." Freja cupped her cheek like it was obvious and reminded, "Otherwise you won't even have food and you'll die before the test ends." The young trainees looked panicked. What dragon slaying technique can really handle creatures like that? Freja grinned, raising 5 fingers. "You still have 5 days before the real trial begins. In those 5 days, each of you will choose one weapon from the Eldragon family's foundational martial arts and start training." She leaned sideways, pointing to the table behind her. "If you want to deal with the monster's survival, gets easier, right? But if you can't master the martial art in 5 days..." Freja's voice dropped. "If you can't grasp the technique in the 5 days before the exam, I won't be responsible for whatever happens after that." Another kid piped up, If things go bad, you'll help us, right?" She waved her hand. "Oh, come on." Freja turned cold with an instructor's aura. "Oh, please, this is Eldragon, where the weak get eliminated and only the strong survive. If you can't fight back against the monsters, that's just natural, right? If you can't even pass a simple test like this, might as well lie down and sleep with the poison and monster." Hearing that, the kids broke out in cold sweat, while Zeke, Rangi's, and Lika each showed different expressions behind them. Zeke found it baffling. "This place is so far from the Eldragon I once knew." In his mind, an image from the past flashed when he was still Gilfas, holding his tiny son proudly. "Look, father, This is your grandson, so cute. And now he stood puzzled. I don't get it, but what is this? Freja clapped her hands, announcing enough chatting now. I'll distribute the martial art manuals. For each weapon type, come pick the one for the weapon you want. Everyone went up, choosing in confusion. What are you picking? I don't know which one to choose. Rangi's bit his finger, trembling. What do I do? What should I pick? Zeke stepped over, reminding Rangi's. You should choose the spear. You used it in the entrance exam, right? The boy sighed in relief. Yeah, thank you so much. On the side, Lika was still hesitating, even though there's Thunder Spirit Great Sword technique, only at basic level. Zeke saw and stopped her. Wait, Lika. Zeke advised you should pick Sword Art. She looked surprised me why he turned away, waving lightly. It will make up for what you're lacking. Though confused, Lika accepted. If you say so, then I'll probably pick this one. After everyone finished choosing, they gathered again. Have you all got yours then, for the 5 days leading up to the trial start? Freja reminded, if you want to survive, train like your life depends on it, otherwise just die. Everyone paled in fear, only Zeke remained nonchalant. She suddenly remembered, oh right, one more thing, the senior students from the previous intake will try to take your crystals too. Rangi's gaped while Zeke looked thrilled. Now we're talking. Freja explained the seniors from 10 years ago will join the trial and their task is to take your crystals. But since there are more of you and Poison Dragon Mountain is huge, you might not run into each other. Though they'll definitely hunt you, so do your absolute best, she said, waving goodbye as she left. Rangi's clutched his head, paling. What, not just monsters, but even the senior students will attack us too. Lika frowned. The seniors from 10 years ago are all 2-star, and up. Even I wouldn't last if ambushed by multiple at once. Most others probably won't survive. Zeke just stretched casually. Yep, she snapped. Hey you, he suggested. If one person can't handle it, then form a small group of 2 or 3. Cooperation to hunt monsters isn't forbidden, right? More people means better, right? Hearing that, Lika nodded. Makes sense. Rangi's asked worriedly, Lord Zeke, what will you do? Zeke grinned, full of excitement. Me, of course. I'll enjoy the trial solo. The boy stared. Enjoy? Lika worried. But even alone, no, maybe you really can't. Zeke walked off cheerfully. Come on, before we start training, let's grab something to eat. She was speechless. You're seriously weird. Rangi's agreed. Yeah, sometimes he really is. 5 days later, as the sun rose over the mountain range, the first rays pierced through the canopy, waking the still sleeping forest. All the trainees had gathered, everyone tense for the upcoming test. Freja announced, okay, perfect day for the trial. Everyone's here. Let's get started. At the campsite assembly spot, Rangi's gripped his spear tightly, whispering to Lika with a hint of fear. It's finally the day of the exam, and Lika, caught between fear and anxiety herself, just gave a small. Watching the other students busily setting up tents or carrying supplies to help out, Rangi started rambling on endlessly. Even though Sir Zeke said that, is it really okay for me to team up with Lady Lika like this? After all, there are plenty of people in our class who come from way more legitimate, noble families than I do. I'm just a commoner, and I haven't even reached a single star yet. Even after pouring out all his worries to Lika, the moment he thought about it again, his whole body trembled with anxiety. Right then, a blonde boy and a green-haired girl walked up behind Rangi's and overheard every single anxious word. The green-haired girl was the first to speak up and comfort him. We're all in the same boat, Rangi's, and by pure reflex Rangi spun around, saw the two of them, his teary eyes instantly brightening as he happily called out, Selene, Raymond. Selene glanced over at Lika standing beside him, a mix of joy and shyness in her voice as she marveled. I still can't believe a commoner like me gets to team up with Lady Lika. And though Raymond stayed quiet, he nodded, along in agreement with Selene. Lika looked at the three of them, Rangi's, Selene, and Raymond, and encouraged them. Whether you're noble or commoner doesn't matter. I chose to go with you guys because I truly value everyone's abilities. Hearing that, Rangi's quietly tightened his grip on the spear and said simply, I understand. Yet his voice carried absolute seriousness as he promised. I'll give it everything I've got and make sure I don't become a burden to anyone. Rangi's blazing determination spread to the others. Raymond also vowed, I'll work my hardest too so I don't let down your expectations, Lady Lika. And Lika smiled warmly, praising all three. Good, I'm counting on you guys. Then she turned to Zeke and asked again, but are you really going solo? And Zeke answered with unshakable confidence, of course, I can't wait any longer. Selene and Raymond had also heard rumors about Zeke's true identity. Selene looked at him with open admiration and couldn't help sighing. That's amazing, I've been so nervous this whole time. While beside her, Raymond murmured in awe, so this is what it feels like to share royal blood. And hearing Raymond's words, Lika immediately shouted back, honestly, don't lump me in with him, I'm shaking over here too. Zeke looked a little stunned and asked Lika with almost innocent bluntness, you're scared, then added, what's there to worry about? Aren't you and all the top students already gathered here together? Hearing him treat the issue so casually like it was nothing, Selene, Raymond, and Rangi's all fell speechless at once, sharing the exact same helpless thought. Actually, there are plenty of reasons for everyone to be worried, Sir Zeke. Ignoring that, Lika teased him instead. So you really think they've got what it takes? And Zeke smiled, but answered very seriously, of course. Looking at Raymond and Selene, the two Lika had chosen, he had to sincerely praise her judgment. She successfully gathered the most promising students in the class. Lady Lika's eye for people is pretty damn good. After thinking it over, he declared firmly, their defensive and offensive abilities are both outstanding. The trial she's facing will be a breeze. Even though everyone was already used to Zeke's calm attitude, Rangi still couldn't help muttering dryly in that moment. Yeah, Sir Zeke is always this Just then Freja and the other instructors walked over. She asked half-heartedly, all right, everyone, is everybody here? Then scanned the students and commented, oh wow, so you guys decided to form a team together. That's actually not a bad choice, since some of you clearly haven't fully mastered weapon techniques yet. The instant they heard Freja's voice, every student turned around at once and focused intently on her order. After the greeting, she held up her own crystal to demonstrate and asked, shall we get started? Does everyone have their crystal already? Holding the crystal in her hand, she announced the exam rules right away. Your task is to survive for 1 full month in Poison Dragon Mountain while keeping hold of this crystal. As long as you still have the crystal in your possession when the exam ends, you pass your portion of the test. And remember, every single crystal is identical. Hearing that, the students instantly grew tense and started whispering among themselves. Standing in the crowd, Zeke, completely opposite to everyone else's fear, quietly fell into deep thought. In the gaps of the rules, he had already come up with a way to exploit them in his mind. If you lose your crystal, just go steal someone else. At that moment, Freja continued explaining how the exam would proceed. After you head up the mountain and find a hiding spot, the senior students will start taking crystals from you. While she was speaking, 2 cocky boys were quietly bragging to each other. One asked, hey, most of them probably haven't even reached first star yet, right? And the other replied, this is gonna be as easy as taking candy from a baby. Hearing about such a brutal challenge, the students were hit with another wave of dizzying fear. Freja wrapped up her speech and shouted, all right, that's the rules explained. Then she gave the signal. The exam begins, and the moment she finished speaking, every student bolted up the mountain. Lika ran along with the crowd, but couldn't help turning back to shout at Zeke, Zeke, you have to survive no matter what. And Zeke gave a simple, before replying earnestly, you guys too. Lika yelled after the 3 others, Selene, Raymond, let's move out, and all 3 answered in unison yes, before hurrying to catch up. At that point, Zeke was still standing leisurely beside Freja, casually waving goodbye to them. Be careful out there. Freja saw that and asked puzzled, aren't you supposed to go too? And only then did Zeke remember, muttering, right, sorry, I got a little distracted. Freja asked suspiciously, distracted, you're not worried at all. Zeke shrugged casually, I've got nothing to worry about. Well then, excuse me, instructor. And with that he strolled off at his own relaxed pace. Freja watched him go and muttered in bewilderment, what a strange kid. Night fell, stars twinkled overhead. At the foot of the mountain, all the instructors stood guard, none daring to rest yet, and one of them asked restlessly, they'll be okay, right? Hearing that, Freja turned coldly to the dragon instructor and asked, what's wrong? And he answered gravely, this exam might still be a bit too early for the new students. Another instructor nearby chimed in, exactly, they've grasped the basics, sure, but only a handful have reached any stars, and their real combat experience is still lacking. Then the same one gave a wry smile and wonder how many will actually make it through. And Freja replied calmly, don't worry. She analyzed Poison Dragon Mountain has countless venomous creatures, but the number and strength of the monsters aren't that threatening. Most are only 1st or 2nd star, and as you can see, the students are basically capable of handling them. The 2 instructors had no further questions. The dragon instructor gave a low, concise, understood. Freja smiled mysteriously and whispered under her breath, even so, I'll still release that thing at the very end. The dragon instructor caught a snippet of her murmur but couldn't make it out, so he asked hesitantly, sorry ma'am, I didn't catch that, what did you just say? And Freja switched to a breezy smile, nothing at all. Only then did she turn to the selected elite senior students and order, all right, it's time, head out. And on her command, they immediately switched into full hunting mode and charged up the mountain. Freja brushed aside a strand of hair fluttering in the wind and murmured softly, let's see how many survive. I'm really looking forward to it. The senior students dashed swiftly through the dark forest, racing up the mountain, when suddenly one of them spotted someone and whispered, hey, that guy over there. It turned out to be Zeke casually leaning against a tree. The boy who spotted him whispered excitedly, we found one already. At that moment, another one noticed Zeke too and sneered contemptuously. All this time and he's still just hanging around in one spot. Is the guy stupid or what? The first one who found him quickly ducked behind some bushes, drew his bow, and aimed straight at Zeke. The arrow shot toward him like lightning. Zeke calmly sidestepped. His hand snatched the arrow perfectly out of the air. Zeke gently snapped the arrow in half, then broke into a wild grin and shouted, "I've been waiting for you guys." The three were stunned that he'd noticed them and even more shocked by what he did. One blurted out instinctively. Another asked in confusion, "What the hell is that lunatic talking about?" While yet another gasped in disbelief. Did he just catch the arrow bare-handed? Without another word, Zeke charged straight at the three of them. Laughing with genuine delight, he declared decisively, "All right, let the game begin." A series of noises erupted from the forest, and right after, a monster suddenly burst out. Selene frowned fiercely and swung her sword at it. She thrust straight into the monster's body. But at that exact moment, another monster appeared behind Selene. "Selene, behind you." Just as it attacked, Raymond leaped in at the perfect moment and blocked with his shield, saving her. Then he frowned and swung the shield again. Raymond slammed the edge of his shield down hard, sending the monster straight to the afterlife. On the other side, Rangi's had just finished off another monster. While everyone was taking a short break in the middle of it all, someone suddenly asked, "Everyone okay?" And Rangi's quickly looked up and answered, "Lady Lika, about that." Right after, he was stunned by the pile of trophies next to Lika and thought to himself, just as the rumors say about Lady Lika. While the rest of us were screaming and running around like headless chickens, she already took down who knows how many. Lika heard him and proudly held up 2 fingers. "Well, I did reach 2nd star after all. This is nothing. More importantly, since the exam started a week ago, you guys have gotten way stronger too. Selene and Raymond have both reached 1st star now." Selene smiled gently and replied, "It's all thanks to your help, Lady Lika," and Raymond added quietly, "Thank you, lady." Rangi stood off to the side watching them with a gloomy look. Those two had already reached 1st star, but he still. Selene caught his gaze and immediately comforted him. "Rangi's, you've gotten much stronger too. You'll reach 1st star soon." And Raymond nodded, "Don't lose patience." Rangi's gave a wry smile and said, "Thanks, you guys." Then Lika walked over from a distance and unexpectedly praised, "Taking down a tree frog all by yourself is pretty impressive." She kept chatting encouragingly. "Plus you trained with Zeke before the exam to brush up on your spear skills. Don't worry too much, you'll hit 1st star soon." And Rangi's called out emotionally, "Lady Lika." Right then Lika suddenly looked up at the sky. "All right, it's getting dark, let's head back to base." And Selene immediately agreed, "Yeah, staying out at night is really dangerous." By now dusk was settling in, the sun slowly sinking behind the forested mountain. Not long after, as full darkness fell, a thin mist quietly spread through every corner of the woods. The whole group was returning with their spoils when Rangi suddenly called out, "Lady Lika." Lika frowned warily. What are you doing at our base?" The moment she finished speaking, a pair of legs stepped out from the trees. Everyone in the group instantly raised their guard and drew their weapons. "What the?" A tall young man with a sword at his hip stepped forward with a gentle smile. "Finally noticed me, huh?" Lika gripped the hilt of the sword behind her back and confirmed, "You're from the 10th year class, right? You came to steal our crystals." And the senior admitted straightforwardly, "Exact." Looking at the senior's smiling face, one of the 4 thought to themselves, so the seniors are finally starting their attacks, and it's a 2nd star right off the bat. Then he suddenly spoke up, "That's the obvious part of this exam, but I didn't expect it to be Lady Lika's bait." Meanwhile, Lika coldly pointed her sword at him. "Then why don't you leave? You can't take us all on by yourself." The senior's expression flipped in an instant, and he replied coolly, "Who said I came alone?" The second Lika turned her head. She saw another unfamiliar pair of legs appear. The blonde girl couldn't help thinking worriedly, 3 2nd stars right behind us. One of them suddenly spoke while drawing his sword. "Even if it's Lady Lika, carrying 3 dead weights is still pretty tough, right? So." The guy furrowed his brow and shouted, "Surrender already." In the very next instant, the same guy swung his sword down hard, where Lika had just been standing. But luckily she leaped back in time to dodge. The blonde girl, floating in midair, yelled, "Everyone," while Selene had already begun clashing with one of the 2nd stars in another corner, desperately holding her ground. Raymond wasn't spared either. He was holding his shield up in front of himself, thinking, "Until I get back." Rangi's gripped his spear with both hands, struggling to block the relentless barrage from his opponent. The enemy kept attacking nonstop while yelling, "Come on, hand over the crystal." And in that desperate moment, Rangi suddenly drifted into a daze, thinking, what should we do in a situation like this? At some point earlier, Zeke had looked at him with a blank face and asked, "What?" Then repeated the question, how to take down a stronger opponent. Rangi's had hugged his knees and answered, "Yes, I still don't have any stars, so if a strong enemy shows up, I want to know what I should do." After stroking his chin in thought, Zeke suddenly said 2 words, "Give up," and the green-haired boy jolted. Huh. Zeke explained, obviously right. For someone with 0 stars, fighting a 3rd or 4th star is completely impossible, and Rangi's couldn't help exclaiming in disbelief. No way, so Zeke continued. But with 1st or 2nd star, you can still manage somehow. Hearing that, Rangi's turned to look at him in mild surprise. Zeke went on, you're worried about the upcoming exam, aren't you? If I remember right, most of the monsters on Poison Dragon Mountain are 2nd star, and I heard the seniors attacking us are mostly 2nd star too. In that case, there's still a way. Rangi's suddenly knelt down seriously in front of him like he was waiting for instruction. What way? And Zeke held up 2 fingers, nothing fancy. Under Rangi's puzzled gaze, Zeke smiled and revealed the secret, exploit openings, that's it. And when Rangi's repeated openings, Zeke nodded. Exactly, you can take down a 2nd star opponent, and even someone with 0 stars like you can turn the tables if you find their openings. I can't. Rangi's asked seriously again, but how do I hit the opening? And Zeke answered with just 2 words, take hits. Zeke leaned slightly, the corner of his mouth curling into a mischievous grin, keep taking hits. Endure and keep enduring, until you finally see your opponent's open. The green-haired boy jolted at once and shouted loudly, what? And Zeke casually asked back, why so surprised? You're facing an opponent way stronger than you. What do you think someone as weak as you can even do? Rangi's suddenly clenched the fabric of his pants tightly. You're right, but will I actually be able to endure? Zeke corrected him immediately. It's not about whether you can endure, it's that you have to endure. If you can't, then taking down a stronger enemy is nothing but a pipe dream. Those words seemed to snap him awake. For a brief moment, he fell completely silent. Zeke glanced around and continued advising. That said, against a special opponent like Lika, I mean that special electric energy girl, with your current self, you can endure a 2nd star opponent, so don't worry too much. Rangi's lowered his head a little and muttered softly, I think so too, but Zeke bluntly pointed out, Rangi's, you're still pretty lacking in self-confidence. Zeke stared straight at him and raised his voice like a mentor. Believe in yourself. That's the key factor to getting stronger, got it? And Rangi's replied, I know, but... Before the green-haired boy could finish, Zeke cut in and pointed right at his face. Then let me give you one more piece of advice. Zeke broke into a bright grin and declared, don't overthink things too much. Under Rangi's unblinking stare, Zeke unleashed a whole philosophical spiel. You don't need to think about finding openings or different kinds of power. In the fight, Rangi still gripped his spear tightly, as if ready to strike at any moment. Just patiently wait for the opponent to expose an opening, then thrust the spear straight into that opening, and that's it. The green-haired boy knelt on the ground, stammering as he repeated the words, thrust straight with the spear. And Zeke immediately answered, exactly like this. That's the secret to defeating a stronger enemy. Back to the present, Rangi's opponent couldn't help exclaiming in admiration, this guy's really stubborn. Meanwhile, Rangi's kept blocking while silently telling himself, that's right, I'm weaker than this person right now, so I have to endure and wait no matter what, until the opening appears. Even though his whole body was trembling, Rangi still wore a resolute expression as he struggled to withstand each blow raining down. Suddenly, the opponent cursed loudly, damn it. Then the guy leaped high, preparing to strike the green-haired boy from above. Die. At that moment, Rangi suddenly furrowed his brow with firm eyes, gripped his spear tightly, and swung it forward. A green star unexpectedly appeared at the center of the whirlpool in his eye. Rangi's powerfully thrust the spear straight toward that spot. In reality, he struck the 2nd star youth right in the abdomen, sending the sword flying from his hand. Here it is. In a daze right before passing out, the guy still muttered unwillingly, no way. After that, he completely blacked out in front of the exhausted, panting Rangi's. The star on Rangi's chest suddenly shone brighter and more brilliantly than ever before. Over on Lika's side, she was frowning and charging forward, seemingly sensing that things over there were done. The senior suddenly cried out in panic, impossible, I'm 2nd star too, but... While blocking one of Lika's strikes, he gritted his teeth and hissed, how is the gap this big? Just then Lika suddenly recalled the book with the axe symbol and thought to herself, because I learned axe techniques, I have to put more force into heavy swords. That's why Zeke suggested axe skills to me back then. At that moment, golden electric arcs suddenly burst from Lika's body. Targeting us was your bad luck. The senior's face paled at the sight of those arcs, and he shouted, no. In the very next second, she unleashed a high-voltage surge that shocked the senior senseless. Over. After he collapsed and passed out on the ground, Lika quickly spun around and headed back. The moment she arrived, she anxiously called out loudly, is everyone okay? Lika suddenly noticed Rangi's beside her with eyes shining like car headlights. In the very next instant, all 4 of them cheered in pure joy. We won. Selene happily turned to Rangi's. Congrats on reaching 2nd star, Rangi's, you did it. And Rangi's replied emotionally, thanks, you too, I'm really happy. Lika stood off to the side watching with a quiet, relieved smile. Now everyone's reached their stars. We can fight opponents of the same level with confidence. But then she suddenly turned away and muttered, I wonder how Zeke's doing. At the same time, in another part of the forest, constant noises echoed from the treetops in the darkness. Some ponytail-wearing youth was sprinting desperately, as if fleeing from something. He ran while sobbing, don't come here, damn it. What the hell is that guy? Zeke's back suddenly appeared as he stepped on his teammates. What kind of monster is that? A girl and two other students came stumbling out of the woods in tears. Help, don't come near me. In another direction, a figure was casually dragging someone else by the collar. What's wrong with that guy? Monster. It was Zeke smugly holding two other people by their collars in each hand. What's up? Nobody wants to play with me anymore. Zeke said nothing and just burst into delighted laughter. The students ahead kept running frantically without daring to look back. That guy's completely insane. Why is a junior hunting seniors like this? Aren't we supposed to be the hunter? While still running, one green-haired kid tripped and face-planted right into the dirt. The kid sat up and scooted back in terror. Damn it, my foot stuck. And Zeke's tall figure slowly approached with an utterly terrifying presence. I'm bored of this pointless chase already. Zeke flashed a creepy grin, his eyes turning pure white as he extended a hand like he was hypnotizing. Come on, stand up, come fight me. The kid's eyes widened in sheer panic. This. As if losing all consciousness, the kid's eyes went completely white, his whole body shaking as Zeke lifted him up. The boy let out a breath like he was done for, his face lifeless. Zeke just looked helpless and sighed, oh man. Standing behind and seeing the kid passed out while the two ahead kept running, Zeke got annoyed and scolded. Seriously, why are you all so cowardly and spineless? Weren't you all fired up to fight at first? Don't leave me hanging alone like this. Zeke lowered his arm, glanced back, then pondered. Right, maybe you guys should observe more carefully. After that, he was the only one left standing there. Everything around turned surreal, and he just stood gazing like that, thinking, my direction's fine, right, then I'll keep having fun. Another footstep suddenly approached, emerging from behind a tree. It was a patrol officer, peeking out anxiously and confused. What the hell is this? He stepped deeper into the forest, passing through bushes and slowly scanning around. I can sense his presence. After discovering the seniors, he's this strong. Suddenly he stopped and stood there stroking his chin thoughtfully. I have to report this. Right in his line of sight was the green-haired kid's body sprawled on the ground from earlier. Freja suddenly appeared from the darkness with a gentle expression. You're back, report. The patrol team, her subordinates, immediately recognized the order. One of the three spoke up. Yes, after 1 week since the exam began, about 30% of the 7th-year students have been eliminated, but the remaining ones are gradually adapted. The patrol officer stood at attention and continued. I believe that number won't drop much further from here. And Freja asked upon hearing, really? And the seniors? The officer hesitated a bit. The senior. The patrol officer slowly glanced at his two teammates with a weary face. Freja urged, what? Speak clearly. Then he answered her question decisively. To put it simply, they're running away. Freja felt a bit strange, not amused but puzzled. Running away, the seniors. Running from what? She glanced curiously at one of the patrol officers and asked hesitantly, there aren't any monsters on Poison Dragon Mountain scary enough to make them run, right? And the officer answered seriously, it's the boy, ma'am. That answer shocked her. What did you just say? Sieg. With his ferocity, Zeke had terrified the other students into scattering. Sieg was currently attacking the senior students. At first they tried to resist, but now they were all fleeing. Amid the group of patrol officers, one suddenly shouted loudly, who the hell is this Sieg guy anyway? He's even escorting the seniors out. Never heard of anything like this. Another officer with a strand of hair across his nose suddenly spoke calmly but gravely. I agree, his son, and even the clan head, no, on the contrary, I have to say. In their minds, Zeke looked terrifying, his eyes blazing, surrounded by overwhelming aura. He was an anomaly, far beyond the concept of genius, and honestly, more like a monster. Freja pressed a finger to her cheek, glanced away, and recalled his figure in her mind. I also think he's very strange. He deliberately chose to go solo and set off leisurely on purpose. Could it be from the start? He wasn't the prey but the hunter. Zeke with a bright smile and eyes that held zero innocence. So, like a monster, huh? Suddenly from another direction, a sound rang out that made one of the female patrol officers jump. That sound is. Freja stood there calmly in her cloak with no surprise at all. Oh, it's finally here. I've been waiting forever. A burly man was pushing something heavy toward them. Lady Freja, where should I put it? And she directed him. Just set it there. You've worked hard. The whole patrol team gaped in shock. What is that, Lady Freja? Don't tell me you're releasing that thing into Poison Dragon Mountain. Its power is 3rd star. With the kid's current strength, they can't possibly handle it. Freja didn't take it seriously at all. Her face even broke into a radiant smile. It's fine, it's been specially adjusted. The officer with the nose hair stared hard at her. Adjusted how? And she smiled breezily while brushing it off. Yep, this one only attacks those who have reached second star. Zeke and Lika were the two shining factors mentioned, so the average ones won't be affected much. Then a voice cut in, really, but why do that? Freja calmly extended her hand and answered firmly, it's the clan head's order. Hearing that the officer froze, cold sweat breaking out from the clan head. A mysterious creature with glowing red eyes was caged in an iron-barred enclosure that the burly man had just brought. Now let's see what he does. He's so strong even veterans call him a monster. I wonder if he can handle something like this. Freja's expression suddenly darkened with gloom. She curled her lips into a sinister smile. Release it at dawn. Scene shift. Sunlight blazed through the forest canopy. Rangi's held a long tube in his hand and looked ahead curiously. Selene also sensed something odd. Did the ground just shake a little? Lika walked in front frowning, then examined the situation with a grave face. Seems like it. What is this feeling? It's so weird. And the blonde boy beside her looked innocently. Is it the seniors again? Rangi started blurting out random thoughts that made even Lika's head ache. Maybe a monster, like a ferocious wild boar or something similar. And her expression grew worse by the second. But why does it feel like? Suddenly, a violent roar exploded toward their group. From above their heads, a massive ancient tree was tilting and about to collapse. Lika realized it instantly and shouted to warn everyone. The tree's falling, get out of the way. The whole group struggled, but quickly dashed away from the falling trunk. After dodging, Lika looked back and wondered, what the? And Selene, face full of fear and confusion, recognized it. That's. Rangi's trembled in terror as he looked up, while the kid beside him stared intently. A monster with a body entirely of stone and glowing red eyes appeared abruptly. A golem. Zeke was looking up with an indifferent, carefree expression. Has it arrived? He let out a sigh and leaned against the pile he'd just captured. Around the outskirts, patrol officers were still sweeping the forest. I'm starting to get bored. No one left who can fight me. How disappointing. Suddenly, in the distant forest, birds burst into frantic flight, and urgent noises rushed in. Zeke jolted at the sounds, a strange presence. He thought gravely, it's been a long time since a monster of this level appeared. He suddenly looked up and mused idly. Maybe they're hinting at something by releasing it here. The first clan head from 1,000 years ago, but for the kid's current abilities, a third-star opponent might be too much. Zeke sat perched high up, shaking his head side to side. Things like this should have been handled by the instructors before the exam even started, right? No, that's not it. Freja, with a seemingly gentle smile but harboring dark calculations. Maybe they released it on purpose. What exactly are they planning? For real? So he suddenly laughed with delight, eyes shining like headlights. But this is even better. Looks like I'll get some real entertainment. Zeke immediately found something interesting, leaped down from his perch and prepared to move. I can't just sit here. I'm coming, third star. If only it appeared closer to me, it'd be more fun, but it showed up way over there. Over here, Selene gripped her sword tightly and struggled to attack forward. Her whole body was knocked flying back, without dealing even the slightest damage to the golem. Selene landed hard on her feet, looked up immediately, and worriedly exclaimed, no way, it didn't even get scratched at all. Raymond gritted his teeth tightly, leaped high with his weapon and attacked the golem. Take this. His expression twisted in frustration when he saw the golem take 0 damage. Even that didn't do anything at all. Now it was Lika's turn. She jumped up and unleashed a fierce slash that looked effortless. Thunder strike. One of the golem's arms showed faint cracks after taking her attack. Realizing that, she gave a small triumphant smirk. Looks like only when I channel aura can I break through its outer shell, which means this thing can only be taken down by someone at second star or higher. Rangi's crept up from behind, still gripping his weapon tightly, and asked hesitantly, Lika, what do we do now? And she replied with commanding presence, all right, everyone listen up. The golem still loomed right in front of them as Lika laid out the plan. I'll distract it. While I do that, everyone run. But her friends immediately disagreed. What? And Rangi stepped in firmly to stop her. No way, we're not leaving you behind, Lika. Lika pointed her red flame weapon toward the golem, her face fully focused ahead. I know this might sting to hear, but right now you guys are just holding me back. The spot I hit on its arm earlier only cracked a tiny bit because I poured every ounce of my aura into it. The massive, rock-solid golem stood there like an immovable statue, white smoke, puffing faintly from its mouth. Tiny Lika stood in one corner and gravely reminded them, with your current strength, you can't even scratch it. And Selene looked up at her, whispering in understanding, no way, yeah, we really can't do any damage to it. Raymond stood protectively in front of Lika with fierce determination, brows furrowed. but we can still support you, so Lady Lika can land her strikes more accurate. Lika jolted in surprise, eyes wide with shock. You guys are. Then Rangi's raised his weapon too, eyes blazing as he volunteered. I'll give it everything I've got. And Selene from behind smiled brightly in support. Exactly. If we all fight together under your lead, maybe we really do have a chance. Hearing their words, Lika felt a surge of emotion. Everyone. A small grin tugged at her lips before she spoke softly. Fine then, if that's how it is. Alone at the back, she began channeling aura into her sword, while the others up front readied themselves. Support me. Lika poured all her strength in, confidently releasing the energy outward. Here I come. Like lightning, Lika dashed from behind the group, sword blazing with powerful energy as she charged forward. Right in front of the golem, it stared intently at her and braced itself. When its massive arms slammed down, Raymond rushed in with his shield to block for her. His face contorted more and more grotesquely as he held the block, clearly struggling hard. Raymond then retreated, while Selene and Rangi's charged forward together, with weapons raised toward the golem. While it focused on the ones in front and let its guard drop, Lika leaped up from behind with her sword. She let out a fierce yell and brought down a heavy strike, Thunder Soul heavy sword technique. The slash connected dead on, triggering a massive clash that exploded in blinding white light, heavenly thunder. A tremendous explosion erupted deep in the forest, shaking everything with a violent boom. The ground trembled under waves of powerful golden aura. As soon as Lika landed, Rangi's rushed over anxiously. Lika, are you okay? She forced a casual smile, just barely, but that last move used up all my true chi. Lika looked over at Selene supporting Raymond and asked with concern, more importantly, Raymond, are you all right? And he struggled to reply, I'm fine, making Lika feel a bit relieved. Good then. The moment Lika finished speaking decisively, the golem suddenly loomed up from behind. Everyone, let's head back to base. Suddenly, Rangi's was shoved hard by Lika in one direction before he could react. In his place, she took the hit, letting the golem grab her in its enormous palm. Lika. She struggled to breathe, pain shooting through her with every squeeze. I let my guard down. It can still move after that. Selene, still supporting Raymond, panicked at the sight. No way, it's still moving after all that. And Raymond called out helplessly in agony. Rangi's charged forward recklessly without thinking, weapon raised, attacking the golem. Let her go, let her go. The golem simply jerked its massive arm upward once, then looked down at him with cold, empty eyes. Seeing that, Rangi's panicked. Lika. A sudden gale whipped up from somewhere, distorting everything nearby. The golem was suddenly blasted backward by overwhelming force and top. One side of the golem shattered from the destructive impact, and Lika tumbled free to the ground. Rangi seized the chance, scooped her up, and ran deep into the forest. You okay? And she panted weakly in confusion as they moved. But what the hell just? Zeke suddenly appeared with a weird grin and shouted loudly, what's with all the noise? Lika looked up in surprise at the familiar voice. That voice, and Rangi's recognized him instantly. Zeke. Zeke leaped out from the thick bushes with lightning speed. What's going on here? He looked thrilled as his gaze landed on the golem ahead. What the heck is this earth pup? A moment later, a brilliant golden lightning bolt struck down from the sky. This situation doesn't look good. Without hesitation, Zeke sprinted toward it. That's lightning. So Lika's group got there first. Back when I was at my peak, a distance like this was nothing to me. He felt urgent to protect the kids. Lika's group was full of real potential, but against a third-star opponent, how long could they possibly hold out? At this speed, he wouldn't make it in time, so he skidded to a stop. All right, let's try that new technique I learned the other day. His hand gripped a nearby tree trunk tightly. Let's see. Zeke poured every ounce of strength into lifting the entire tree out of the ground. With a roar, he swung the trunk in a wide arc for momentum. He released it, sending the whole tree hurtling straight upward. Zeke watched it fly with satisfaction. Not bad at all. I figured this body might need some ranged skills. Good thing I bothered to learn. The cultivation method that suited him best right now was the dragon nurturing technique. This basic dragon martial arts manual had been handed out to the kids before the exam, just like the close combat dragon thief method. It wasn't exactly a full martial art, but more like a guidebook for basic movements and true chi circulation. He nodded appreciatively. Turns out it fits me perfectly. After all, in my previous life, long-range attacks. Indeed, 1,000 years ago, long-range attacks were the way to go. Zeke suddenly remembered he still had to save the kids. Right, no time for nostalgia. I need to do something now. In no time, he burst through the trees and spotted Rangi's and Lika. Zeke grinned wide and waved casually. everyone's still okay. Rangi's panicked and quickly summed up the situation. Yes, but that's not the issue right now. That golem over there. And Zeke's eyes lit up with interest. Oh ho, so it's called a golem, huh? He pointed at the charging thing while evaluating. It has aura but zero life force. What a bizarre creature, making the others freak out. Zeke careful. The stone golem thundered forward and swung its arm down hard. His voice rang with excitement as he blocked the punch. Pretty tough outer shell. With that kind of hardness, you probably can't break it without aura-infused strikes. But beating it the normal way would be way too boring, don't you think? With that, Zeke smirked and flung the golem backward. The two friends were already used to it and weren't surprised anymore. Still as reckless as ever, huh? Boring. Why is he like this? The golem steadied itself, clasped its hands together, and raised them overhead. Zeke's eyes turned dangerous as he assessed. Now, considering the size, probably about. And then its attack came lightning fast, smashing down toward his head. The ground seemed to cave in, sending out a shockwave. He bared his teeth in a grin and warned the nearby kids, "This is gonna get pretty dangerous, so fall back." The group immediately trusted him, turned and ran. Yes, sir. Zeke planted his feet firmly against the force. Now then. He channeled power into his arm and shoved, toppling the golem. Tough outer layer, huh? A bold idea flashed in his mind. Then let's see if the inside is just as solid. Zeke leaped high with excitement. Time to experiment. His fist slammed into the golem's stone body. Dragon Annihilation Technique, first form. He followed up relentlessly with the second form, Explosive Break, shattering its frame. Instead of cracking the outer shell, he pumped explosive true chi inside to make it detonate from within. He clenched his fist and stood tall. How that? Success, right? Now this is getting interesting. His eyes flashed brilliantly, lighting up the whole forest. But Freja was far from pleased. Clearly the seniors' test was to attack the juniors and steal their crystals. Yet you, a junior, are the one attacking the seniors. No one ever done that before. She put her hands on her hips and scolded loudly. Because of you, none of them got a single crystal. They all have to retake the exam. And Zeke stayed nonchalant. But this doesn't break any rules, and I didn't steal anything, which made her yell even louder. Who the hell would expect a junior to turn the tables and hunt the senior? Freja turned away exhausted and let out a long sigh. Heya, anyway, that casual tone of yours is gonna have to change when you're standing in front of the clan head. Right now, the two of them stood before a door of judgment. Freja strode forward while giving him a bunch of warnings. Anyway, drop that careless attitude the second you're standing in front of the headmaster. And Zeke looked genuinely puzzled. Why? She gave a faint, bitter laugh at his reaction. Why, you ask? Freja's tone turned dark and threatening. Because you'll be eliminated, even if you're just a kid. She sounded a little sad and worried about his future. I won't let that happen. And he just let out a single sigh. How rude. She stepped up, raised her hand to the door, and knocked once. Clan head. Freja announced herself formally and clearly according to protocol. Black Dragon Guard member Freja, reporting as summit. A deep, authoritative voice came from inside. Enter. Only with his permission did they slowly step in. Excuse us. Zeke's gaze immediately shifted toward the most powerful figure in the place. Freja placed one hand behind her back and reported to him. I've come with Zeke. The white-haired man looked up with sharp, piercing eyes. He began speaking as if interrogating. Why did you attack the senior student? Zeke's expression didn't waver in the slightest. Everyone keeps asking the same thing, so let me ask back. Am I not allowed to attack? Balza hadn't expected anyone to stand up so boldly against him. What? Zeke slipped his hands into his pockets and explained more clearly. The only condition to pass is surviving 1 month on Poison Dragon Mountain and keeping your crystal. I didn't hear any other rules, so I followed them and used my time however I wanted. If there was anything forbidden, you should have made it clear before the exam started. Those arrogant words instantly made Freja's face change color. She quickly snapped to shut him up. Zeke, you're... Balza's eyes immediately darkened, radiating a chilling, killing intent. The ancient dragon seemed to awaken with a sky-shaking roar. Freja was crushed under the pressure and dropped to her knees. This pressure, you'll die from it. Yet Zeke stayed rooted in place, hands still in his pocket. He even spoke up boldly in warning. Stop threatening me. It's annoying. This was the first time in his life he'd faced a situation like this. Zeke pursed his lips in disdain at Balza's actions. So you called me here just to ask these trivial things. Then out of nowhere, he threw a random question. Exactly how did you do it? The words left Zeke momentarily stunned and confused. Do what? He repeated the unbelievable feat Zeke had accomplished. According to the report, not only did you defeat the seniors, you also took down a golem. And the person standing in front of me right now is unnaturally calm about it. Balza's eyes were full of complicated, bewildered scrutiny. How can an illegitimate child like you possess such power? Zeke shrugged casually like it was obvious and started speaking. The reason for my strength, simple. Zeke proudly pointed at his own confident face. There's no other reason, it's just my talent. Their eyes locked, neither backing down, sparks practically flying. Finally, Baltza waved his hand, not wanting to waste more time. Your attitude is as arrogant as the rumors say. But fine, because you defeated the golem, I'll grant you a reward. Either enter the second floor of Longvan Pavilion or take an artifact from Longtang Pavilion. Choose one. Freja stood frozen on the side, eyes wide in total shock. What kind of reward is this? Places mentioned as rewards, Longvan Pavilion and Longtang Pavilion, are repositories holding rare treasures collected by generations of headmasters for over 1,000 years, starting from the founder Gilfas. The first thing scholars dream of entering, Longvan Pavilion houses every kind of book, including those now forbidden. The second one mentioned is a vast treasure vault. Longtang Pavilion stores relics from previous headmasters, legendary weapons, elixirs, magical artifacts, and much more. Priceless treasures from different eras are kept there. These have become legends in this place. These facilities are the secret treasures of the Eldragon clan, managed with extreme strictness. Only those with permission may enter, and especially to access the second floor or higher of Longvan Pavilion requires truly outstanding achievement. She stared wide-eyed at Zeke's smug face, so after everything, his rude attitude was still judged as exceptional. He even greedily demanded more. If that's the reward, why not give me both? So stingy. Baltza didn't bother replying and just dismissed him outright. Enough, leave. But Zeke wasn't letting it go that easily. What? That's it. I still have a lot I want to say. This time Freja moved fast, grabbing his collar. Wait, Zeke. She forced a bright smile and thanked on his behalf. We're deeply honored to receive this reward directly from you. Understood, clan head. We'll take our leave now, Zeke. Zeke let himself be dragged along and said casually, then I'll just say one more thing. The corner of his mouth curled into a wild grin as he gave advice. As long as you keep suppressing your emotions like that, no matter how hard you try, you'll never get stronger. The pressure from two ancient dragons clashing made the entire room tremble. Freja was terrified out of her mind, but still whispered harshly through gritted teeth, "Stay quiet, clan head. We beg your pardon as we depart." Leaving Baltza stunned in the room. What kind of pressure was that? Once they were far outside the clan head's office, she finally let it all out. You. She raised her voice in fury and yelled right in Zeke's face. What the hell were you thinking? Saying those things with that attitude in front of the clan head. Didn't you hear a single word I told you before we went in? He frowned slightly, not remembering anything. What did you say? I held back as much as I could, and Freja looked ready to explode on the spot. That's what you call holding back. She was beyond frustrated and questioned his behavior. You can speak politely to me and the instructors. Why not do the same with the clan head? And he answered very calmly. In the end, he's my biological father, after all, leaving her speechless. Seriously, with that power and attitude. Freja forced herself to calm down. You're not a normal child. What exactly are you? Hearing the question made him repeat it back. You're asking who I am. The corner of Zeke's mouth drew into a faint smile. I already told you, I'm just me. It was the same kind of answer as before, leaving her stunned silent. Freja couldn't wrap her head around any of it. We've all drunk dragon blood, so we absolutely cannot resist the clan head, who holds the power of the Dragon King, a higher species than even ancient dragons. It should be impossible, yet. Zeke seemed like some alien creature dropped into this world. How is this kid so calm in front of the clan head? Seeing she didn't answer, he asked, something wrong? Freja softly denied the thoughts in her mind. No, nothing, then muttered to herself. I should double-check the birth records carefully. She let out a long sigh, not wanting to argue anymore. So which reward are you choosing? You can enter the second floor of Longvan Pavilion or take an artifact from Longtang Pavilion. And Zeke held up two fingers pitifully. Both, she firmly refused. No way. He pouted for a second while choosing what was necessary. Can't help, huh? Then. And the very next day, Zeke stood in front of a grand white palace. He marveled at the beauty of the place. Knowledge is power. Since he'd been neglected for 7 years, this was more necessary than anything. I'm missing way too much knowledge about this era. I'm also curious about the new elixirs and tools created over the past 1,000 years. But Rangis ran up behind him, excitedly looking around. I can't believe I actually get to enter Longvan Pavilion. Zeke was a bit confused by his mood. You're that happy about it? And the boy nodded enthusiastically. Of course. His small pale face flushed with excitement. The close combat dragon thief method and dragon nurturing spear technique I just learned were already amazing. But this is a chance to learn even better martial arts. I never imagined the reward for passing the exam would be this luxurious. It's so moving. Lika stepped out from behind Rangis in agreement. In the limited time I have, how much knowledge can I actually absorb? Gotta work hard. And Zeke, first time hearing about this, asked, There's a time limit? She nodded knowledgeably. Yeah, we're only allowed on the first floor, but the basic rules are probably the same. She shared the new info with him. You can only borrow one book, but you can read as many others as you want within the time limit. So how you use your time is really important. And he pursed his lips, nodding as he took it in. Got it. Lika perked up curiously about Zeke's thoughts. By the way, I heard you chose Long Van Pavilion over Long Tang Pavilion as your reward. They were a bit puzzled why he'd pick Long Van Pavilion. With your personality, I thought you'd grab something from Long Tang Pavilion instead. And hearing that he looked a little regretful, I thought about it too, but right now knowledge matters more to me. Lika bit her finger enviously. Knowledge, huh? I heard the second floor has books even rarer than the first, especially martial arts ones. They say the gap in level between floor 1 and 2 is huge. But she quickly cheered up with her own strength. Still, I don't think anything beats my Thunder Soul heavy sword technique. Hey Zeke, you listening? Hey. They walked deeper inside together and met the guard. Your time inside the building is 5 hours. Use it quietly and stick strictly to the time limit. Zeke followed them in while murmuring in awe, not sure if 5 hours is long or short, and Lika quickly answered, it could feel pretty long. She shared her experience confidently before they entered. First decide which book you want to borrow, then read whatever else you can in the allotted time. And Rangi's looked a little flustered and nervous. I heard talented people can skim multiple books at once, but my goal is just to find one martial arts book that suits me in that time. Stepping into the main hall was an overwhelming sea of bookshelves. Seriously, just finding the book you need is already tough. They unconsciously spoke in hushed, odd tones. So this is Long Van Pavilion. Zeke looked up at the endlessly high ceiling, more impressive than I thought. He bared his teeth in eager anticipation for new knowledge. Now let's see what kind of knowledge is here. He stepped boldly into the massive library. This is getting interesting. Time flew by quickly. After searching for a while, Zeke suddenly stared wide-eyed and shouted, what the hell is this? No way, rifts, chaos, magic. So much information I know absolutely nothing about. With that, he casually tossed the book aside and flopped flat on the floor, staring up and sighing deeply. 1,000 years is a terrifying amount of time. Thinking back over those 1,000 years, this world had connected to another world. Going back about 900 years ago, a sudden tear appeared in the spatial wall, a rift, and on the other side of that rift was another world of chaos called the Realm of Chaos. In that world, monsters called Chaos rampaged everywhere. To fight the chaos, the people there cultivated a special energy source inside themselves. The Eldragon clan fought alongside them against the chaos, and through bonds formed on the battlefield, 4 powerful warriors from that world married into Eldragon: Typona, Levias, Bahamut, Fafnald. They became the founders of the 4 major branches of the Eldragon clan that exist to this day. Thinking back now, the furious roar from before shrouded in that strange black mist, and Lika's lightning halo too. So they all originated from another world. No wonder I didn't know anything about it. And what intrigues me most is magic, a new technology brought from that other world. Where are the books teaching how to use it? Why isn't there a single one? Normally stuff like that should be right next to the history books, the protagonist muttered while his eyes sparkled like stars. However, his noise was immediately met with, please maintain silence inside the building. Someone spoke up. But that only made Zeke even more curious. The voice had no aura at all, just sound. Could this be what that thing is? A technique that only transmits sound. Yet I don't sense any energy or source at all. At the same moment, several books around him suddenly floated up, as if controlled by some invisible power. Seeing that, Zeke got wildly excited and yelled, what is that? Oh, using source energy like threads to move objects. What an interesting technique. The reminder voice rang again, please maintain silence. But how could Zeke possibly listen? He lunged forward and grabbed a book tightly. How am I supposed to stay quiet in front of something this cool? Come out in front of me right now and teach me direct. Not far away, a mysterious figure in a cloak was using their mat to create glowing threads that wrapped tightly around Zeke and pulled him upward. Here we go, door closing, the figure reminded, then directly tossed Zeke into a mysterious poem. Luckily, our boy's reflexes were sharp. He just rolled once to steady himself. What was that? What was that? Another thing I don't know about. Show me properly, Zeke grumbled in frustration. At the same time, Rangi's arrived from behind, witnessed the scene, and stared in shock. Sir Zeke, what happened? Lika also let out a sigh and chimed in. What did you do to get yourself flung out like that? Zeke scratched his head awkwardly and explained. Ah well, I just got a little too excited, that's all. How about you guys? Did anyone find something they liked? Hearing the question, Rangi's immediately perked up and shared excitedly. Yes, I borrowed a martial manual called Cloud Water Spear Technique, and I think I've already learned a simple footwork move from it. Over on her side, Selene also pulled out a book and said, I learned a footwork technique from this one too. I borrowed the Windflower Sword Technique manual. Raymond likewise shared his choice. I learned the Eldragon Guardian sword style, protective fist wall from this. The book I borrowed is also the Eldragon Guardian style martial rec. Their choices made Zeke feel a slight lump in his throat. He thought to himself, all those martial arts were ones I created just to kill time in my previous life. Even so, he still nodded. I see. So what about you, Lika? What did you pick? Lika answered with a bright, happy voice. This one, heavy wave sword technique. They say it was created by the first clan head, and the heavy wave great sword style was later revised and improved by the 15th clan head. I already have my family's inherited martial arts, so this is just for research. From Zeke's perspective, Lika's words made him fall into quiet thought. Again with the 15th clan head, Dragon Breath Technique and Dragon Thorn were also created by the 15th clan head. So many martial arts I made are stored in the Dragon Hall, yet plenty of them have revised versions placed right beside them. Could those revisions all be from the 15th clan head too? Honestly, when I first came in here, I thought I'd be bored out of my mind. But now I can't wait to see what comes next. Time passed quickly, 5 years later. Lika's puzzled voice echoed down the hallway. Where did Zeke and everyone go? Someone nearby answered right away. Ah, Lady Lika, Sir Zeke and his friends have already gone to the training grounds. Lika waved her hand. Thanks them again. Got it, thanks. Scene shift to the training grounds. At this moment, our protagonist was single-handedly sparring against all three, Rangis, Selene, and Raymond. Scene shift to clan head Baltz's office. Right now, he was lightly tapping his fingertips on the desk while speaking to the person standing before him. Is this really the shape of a special rift? Are you certain about this? In response, Commander Ein of the Black Dragon Legion stated firmly, yes, sir. According to our investigation, there is roughly an 80% chance that mana water exists inside this rift. The confident answer seemed to make Baltza hesitate for a moment. He sighed. It had to appear in the most troublesome location. Of all places, the mana water chose exactly there. Those who drink that water become mages. That is mana water. Those who consume it turn into a special type capable of converting true essence into another form of power, mana. The new techniques unleashed through mana will bring a revolution to the world. At the same time, fierce territorial conflicts over mana water sources, mana springs, have already begun. The era of magic has arrived. In it, the number of mages will largely determine a clan's military might. On Eldragon territory right now, there isn't a single mana spring. For clans without mana springs, there is only one way to obtain mana water: conquer a special rift. Currently, the Eldragon clan has only a handful of mages, including Baltza himself. All of them are seasoned elites who gain their mana water by conquering special rifts. Even so, the clan is currently being overwhelmed in numbers by other clans that possess mana springs. Conquering special rifts has become the most critical mission for the Eldragon clan. However, on this side, Commander Ein seemed to understand the worries weighing on the clan head's mind. He continued, as you said, this location, the abundant dragon forest, is very troublesome. The surrounding areas even saw a small-scale border skirmish just a few days ago. The abundant dragon forest is a vast woodland that stretches far beyond our territory and extends into another clan's land as well. One part of it reaches into the territory of the Cerberus clan, those who self-proclaim co-ownership of the forest and call it the Abundant Hound Forest. Our portion is definitely within Eldragon land. However, judging by the scale and position of the rift, there is a high chance it crosses over into Cerberus territory too. With those golden hounds, they'll almost certainly swarm over in force. He spoke while pointing at the map. The Eldragon clan head fully agreed. At the very least, those dogs have very sharp noses. They'll figure it out soon enough. Commander Ein continued with a suggestion. We need to prepare a strong enough force to control the situation in case we have to confront them. Since this is a special rift, the options available to both sides are limited. But before he could finish, Eldragon already understood. We have to act before they even realize it, right? Immediately report to the dragon squads. Tell them we will be holding a selection exam. Eldragon ordered gravely. Ein responded at once, understood. In another scene, Lika had just arrived at the training grounds. She let out a long sigh. You really go all out, huh? Up ahead, Zeke stood firm and steady, calmly facing the attacks from all three, Rangis, Selene, and Raymond. All three unleashed their ultimate techniques: Wildflower Sword Art, Petal Scatter, Selene; Eldragon Guardian Shield Style, Stone Fist Wall, Raymond; Cloud Water Spear Art, Water Pierce, Rangis. Right at the moment their attacks were about to land, Zeke's eyes suddenly blazed. Then he casually raised a hand to block Selene's sword. As for the spear tip and shield, he didn't even bother dodging. Those aren't even enough to scratch the protagonist. However, Rangis, you're putting way too much force into that strike. Doing that kills the natural advantages of spear techniques. Then he turned to comment on Selene. Selene, you're too focused on speed and numbers, so your balance is off. Learn to distribute your balance properly. Finally, Zeke turned to Raymond. Raymond, you did pretty well. But your passive personality still hasn't changed. You should get used to taking the initiative and attacking more. One more time. Yes, sir, the whole group shouted in unison. However, before they could launch another round, Lika stepped forward. As usual, she spoke up. What a crazy scene. Zeke turned and complained. Crazy how, little miss. Lika shrugged. Blocking their attacks head-on without using true essence. That's pretty insane, isn't it? Right after her words, Zeke, while still blocking their strikes, yelled back, nonsense. This is proper training too. Look, the results of the training are right here. Even without using true essence, my body has already gotten this tough. Lady Lika, look at this. Sir Zeke isn't too weird, right? Someone exclaimed. At least he's not telling them to stop attacking while we're talking, another person shouted. On this side, someone just covered their face and groaned. I think it's weirder that he keeps attacking while people are talking. From another side, Raymond and Selene couldn't help but marvel, defending like that without true essence. A human being like this is way too mysterious. Hearing that, little Lika immediately explained, Zeke isn't human, so don't lump him in with us. Do you guys know what the seniors call Zeke? The monster child of the Eastern District. Hearing that title, even Zeke couldn't help but complain. Isn't that a bit rude to me? Brushing that aside, the protagonist asked, so you don't have anything going on with us? Or did you come to join the training? Of course, Lika hadn't come just to hang out. She came to deliver news. Training's fine, but first I have something to say. Looks like you guys are going to run into kids from the other dragon squads, and probably pretty soon. That information surprised the rest of the group. What? I figured this day would come eventually, but it's really here now. Selene turned and asked more specifically, is it the next exam? Lika shrugged. Who knows? Even I don't know much more than that. Zeke immediately turned and asked, then how do you know about this stuff? Just by watching the instructors, through their conversations and actions, Lika explained calmly. Meanwhile, Zeke said, you've never paid attention to things like this before. That seemed to annoy someone a little. Seriously, what a carefree air candidate. But anyway, be careful. There's someone in the Western District, one of the other candidates for the next clan head, who's got his eyes on us. Far from being afraid of the warning, Zeke actually felt a spark of excitement inside. That sounds fun. I've been looking forward to something like this. Time passed quickly. A few days later, the kids began gathering again at the training grounds. The protagonist's friends seemed to have already guessed the reason. Zeke whispered, Lika, probably the thing you mentioned earlier. Lika nodded in agreement. Yeah, most likely. Sure enough, right after that, Freyja's voice rang out. Everyone gathered. Shut up already. Seeing her appearance, the kids instantly fell dead silent, not daring to make a sound. Their fearful attitude pleased Freyja somewhat. Good. Starting today for the next 3 days, you will fight against the kids from the other dragon squad. Next scene, it seemed this information hadn't reached the kids beforehand, so the whole group immediately burst into lively chatter, fighting kids from other districts. Doesn't that usually only happen at graduation exams? Why so sudden? Up front, of course, Freyja heard the whispers. However, she had no intention of explaining much. There are many reasons I can't go into detail about yet. But let me say one thing. The winners of this tournament will be assigned a special mission. Just hearing that made the protagonist's eyes sparkle like stars. Inside, he couldn't help feeling a surge of excitement. A special mission that requires us to fight like this. Unaware of his inner thoughts, Freyja continued explaining, the matches will be single elimination, with 7 representatives selected from each district, east, west, north, and south. You must decide your representatives before the end of today. Clear. Among the kids, one suddenly asked, those 7 will be chosen from our upperclassmen, right? Unfortunately for the boy, Freyja delivered bad news right away. Why would you think I gathered everyone here? I'll be choosing from all classes. Once again, that shocked everyone even more. What? Even though you say that, what can the lower classmen even contribute? Aside from us, no one else can fight. They're just trapped. Faced with those words, the lower classmen looked a bit flustered, but didn't dare talk back. The beautiful Freyja simply ignored them and waved her hand encouragingly. Anyway, just make your decisions before the day ends. Then right after she left, a senior named Rick stepped forward and declared loudly, listen up, the 7 representatives will be chosen from us upperclassmen. Obviously, no objections, right? Hearing that, how could little Lika possibly stay silent? She immediately shot back. Actually, I do have an objection to that. It's not fair to only call on the seniors. Shouldn't we choose from the lower classmen too? I'm qualified for this as well. On this side, seeing her step up, Rick gave a smug, arrogant smile. Well, if it isn't Lady Lika. Seems like you've misunderstood something. We're talking about real strength here. You've got it wrong. We're only discussing ability. He spoke with full confidence, unaware that just 1 second later Lika unleashed her power. 3 small glowing dots appeared on her body, representing 3 stars. Witnessing that, the entire upperclassmen group instantly paled in terror. What? 3 stars. No way. The rumors said she was only 2nd star at most. Since when? The group stammered, which only encouraged Lika to press further. I agree we should choose based on strength. So are there really more than 7 seniors stronger than me? Answer me. If not, then we should choose from the lower classmen too. Hearing that, Rick knew he was losing ground but still stubbornly argued. That's only because Lady Lika is an exception. The rest can't possibly compare to the seniors. Right then, Zeke's voice suddenly cut in. You guys are too loud. Rick whipped around with bulging eyes and yelled, You bastard. What did you just say? Zeke pursed his lips and repeated, I said you guys are too loud. I'm talking about you seniors, yelling like you think the lower classmen are trash, right? So how about we all fight until only 7 people are left standing? Sound good? The protagonist made the suggestion with a completely battle-hungry expression. Even Lika couldn't quite handle those words. Zeke, that would automatically cause a ton of violent problems. Anyway, what she meant was, how about we hold a preliminary round for anyone who wants to participate? Anyone who wants in can challenge after 3 days, no matter the class. What do the seniors think? If you're confident in your strength, there shouldn't be any problem, right? Regarding Lika's proposal, the upperclassmen seemed to reluctantly accept. Fine, though I think it'll be a complete waste of time. With that, the group withdrew. Meanwhile, Lika turned back to Zeke. All right, so Zeke, you're joining the preliminaries too, right? Zeke smiled brightly and replied, Of course, and more than that. Rangi's, Raymond, Solani, the 3 of you should join too. The other 2 didn't react much yet, but Rangi's eyes widened in shock. Us? You want us to fight the seniors? Zeke reminded him seriously. Exact. You've been training with me all this time, haven't you? If not to show results like this, then what was the point of all that training? On this side, the swordswoman Selene was so anxious her eyes were practically spinning. The pressure, it's overwhelming, she muttered while Raymond helplessly comforted. All we can do is give it everything we've got. Turning to Lika, she asked the remaining lower-classmen, as usual with those 3. Anyone else want to give it a try? The group whispered among themselves. Even so, our opponents are seniors, no chance of winning. I mean, some of the seniors are at least 3rd star. For Zeke, seeing the lower-classmen starring like that, so intimidated, left him a little disappointed. Geez, at least show some spirit. People gain the most when fighting opponents stronger than themselves. Whatever for now. Let's just watch and see what they've got. That so-called strength the seniors are so proud of. The 3-star group charged in with their swords drawn and started provoking. Damn selfish brats are such a pain in the ass. No matter how hard they try, they've got 0 chance of winning. They deliberately shouted loud enough for everyone to hear. Hey, go easy on them. Except for Lady Leka, they're just a bunch of 2-star kids. Over on the other side, Selene, Rangis, and Raymond couldn't help but feel terrified. Seeing that Zeke spoke up, What's wrong, you look worried? Rangis hesitated. Well, I mean they're up against the top 3rd and 4th year seniors, and they're 3 stars too. He suddenly cut in. You've been training non-stop with the master for 5 years straight, right? He continued. You guys did great. Just believe in yourselves a little more. Hearing that, both Selene and Raymond got fired up again and replied, Yes, while Rangis was still a bit anxious but mumbled, Yes. One of the 3-star seniors suddenly rushed forward and barked, Hey, cut the chit-chat, already top students don't have time for this crap. Come on, I'll teach you punks your place. A while later, the students up in the stands were watching and whispering. What the hell is going on? No idea. The 3-star group got taken down by the trio of Rangi, Selene, and Raymond. The other students were all stunned. Wait, are the top students this year really that weak? No, you have to say those 3 are the strong ones. And the senior was flat on the ground, drooling and groaning. Impossible. Zeke gave a quiet, approving smile. Good job, everyone. He silently evaluated. Langi's gotten way sharper at parrying and spotting open. Now Selene's using the combo strikes of the wind flower sword style really well. He thought next, Raymond's tactics have improved a ton. He switches smoothly between shield and sword technique. Zeke reflected, all of them have shown excellent training results. If we keep building their confidence through real combat, it'll get even better. And he glanced at Leica and noted silently, Leica's gotten stronger too. The other students watching Leica dominate her senior sister gaped in shock. This can't be happening. After that, she completely defeated Marin and said confidently, that should be enough. Rick was dumbfounded. No way, how? No way us 3 stars could lose to a bunch of 2-star nobodies. Zeke spoke up, how naive. Even after seeing the result, you're still spouting nonsense like that. The guy blurted, huh? Zeke continued, age, stats, rank. Zeke signaled him to shut up and said, it's just numbers. Real strength in battle is decided only by the winner. Weaker means you lose, that's. Rick pointed at his face and yelled, you idiot, rank is strength, don't tell me a kid like you doesn't even know that. Zeke calmly replied, but so what or not so what? He said coldly, destroy the heart, and no matter who it is they die. Stunned by Zeke's words, don't turn away from the true nature of strength. battle strength is simply whether you can win or not. The guy shouted, "Shut up, who the hell are you? I'm a top student, don't think a brat's sophistry works on me. I was gonna go easy since you're kids, but if you cry later, don't blame me, I won't hold back." Zeke waved his hand. "I'm sick of this verbal sparring already. Kids should throw hands before throwing words. Now it's just you and me. Show me what kind of martial art you've grasped." He unleashed his power and taunted, "And how far have you trained it?" Rick ground his teeth in rage. Zeke charged forward shouting, "Take this." The guy leaped at him yelling, "Don't underestimate me. Great power fist technique." But Zeke easily smashed a powerful punch into Rick's face, sending him flying 3 meters back. Zeke praised, "You trained pretty decently." The atmosphere fell quieter than ever. Leica, watching from the side, said, "You dare say that after knocking him out without even checking the result?" At the same time, over at the West training field, the defeated students lay groaning in pain. "Ow, it hurts." Suddenly, the iron fan was folded away. One of the candidates for the next clan head successor, Venial Fafnird Eldragon, sat on top of a beaten student and said, "Every single one of you is useless." Suddenly, someone spoke up, Lord Venial. It was none other than Venial's trusted aide Alan. He reported, "The selection list is complete." Retton stepped forward to meet Venial. He looked slightly surprised. "You, a junior, reached 3 stars already." The guy shouted, "Yes," Venial praised. "Nice, I like capable people. If you prove useful, I'll take you as my subordinate." Retton bowed deeply and respectfully. "Thank you so much," he thought gleefully. "Lord Venial has acknowledged me." Retton thought, as long as Lord Venial is here, the West Wing won't lose. And by accomplishing that prestigious special mission, he continued thinking, Lord Venial will become the next clan head successor, and when that happens, I'll become the direct subordinate of the clan head. Alan stepped up. "Lord Venial, there's something I should report." Venial asked, "What is it?" He whispered, "It seems Lady Leica will be joining the East Wing's selection team." Hearing that, Venial frowned. That meddlesome girl, always getting in the way. Venial stood up, spreading his arms. "No matter. Even if she's a genius, the winner will be us. We'll clear the special mission with ease." Then he snapped open his iron fan and declared boldly, "I'll show my brothers. The seat of the next clan head successor." Venial smiled confidently, "Belongs to me." In the arena, tons of students had gathered to watch, cheers echoing through the stand. Everyone was watching intently. Rangis looked around nervously. "So many people," Leica added. "Every hall is packed like this, even though some got eliminated in the exam." She looked up high, "But this is already a lot fewer, right?" Rangis thought upon hearing her. "Yeah, the eliminated ones aren't here anymore. They're called false dragons, just like Dad." Leica turned and saw Rangis looking restless. She immediately slapped his back hard to encourage. "Forget it. We were chosen as representatives of the East Hall, so be proud." Rangis replied softly, "Yes, I'll do my best." Suddenly, Leica turned back toward Zeke. "What's up, Lord Zeke?" She asked, puzzled. "You're so quiet." Zeke replied, "Oh, nothing, I'm just assessing the combat strength of the students here." Suddenly, a loud shout came from afar. "It's really Lord Zeke. I never thought you'd pull off something like that." Zeke turned to look. "Everything really has changed, huh?" Rick and Marin spoke in unison. "Exactly. We, the upper grade selection members of the East Hall. We, the upper grade selection members of the East Hall." Rick said, we. "After that fight, we've changed our way of thinking." He declared loudly, "Even though I'm part of Eldragon, I genuinely respect the strong." Though a bit confused, Zeke still replied, "Got it. Not a bad thing then, should be fine." While Rangis was crying and hugging his leg, saying, "It startled me." Zeke crossed his arms thinking, aside from the East Hall, everyone else is 3-star, just as expected, no 4-star. But he glanced sideways, observing and calculating silently. Zeke thought next, "Now then, let's see what kind of ultimate techniques I'll get to witness this time." After a while, Leica was chatting with Rang. Suddenly, Sandy ran up, hugged her, and called, "Leica," she panicked, "Sister Sandy." Zeke, who was whistling, also noticed her. Sandy pinched Leica's cheeks. "Long time no see, how have you been? No one bullying you, right?" She shyly pushed her away. "I'm fine, I'm totally fine." Rangis asked, puzzled, "Lady Leica, who is this?" She replied, "This is my cousin Sandy Typhona, the beloved daughter of the Typhona clan, head Sandy Typhona." Rangi, Selene, and Raymond were all shocked, thinking, Typhona, one of the 4 great clans. Rangis couldn't hold back. "Oh my god." Sandy asked, "Leica, who are these kids?" "They're my teammates, my friend." Hearing that she looked indifferent, "Friends really? Getting along is good, but..." Sandy coldly judged, "They're not qualified to be companions of a clan head successor candidate, right?" Zeke from afar said, "Just fight and you'll know." She spoke up, "You are," Leica quickly introduced. "This is Zeke, he's also a candidate like me." Sandy replied, "A candidate, huh? Don't tell me. The rumored bastard child." He walked over confidently, smiling at her. Sandy sneered, "I never thought a bastard like you would still be alive." Leica quickly intervened. "Wait, Sister Sandy, why would you say that?" She responded, Oh, come on, even if he's a bastard, he's still your opponent, right? And you call him a friend. With that attitude, you'll never beat the other successor candidates. Plus, none of those kids have even reached 3 stars. Is the East Hall's quality really that trash? Upon hearing that Rangi. Raymond and Selene looked flustered while Zeke smirked. If you keep looking down on them like that, watch out, they might flip the script and knock you flat. Sandy said coldly, what did you just say? Just a bastard with no backing except the clan head's bloodline. She pointed and questioned. You're really advising me, huh? He replied, just a warning. Sandy exclaimed, you. Suddenly, the North Hall representative Edgy's Vanblade stepped in to stop. Come on, don't cause trouble for the other team. He glanced toward Zeke while Rangi stammered. That person is, hey. Edgy's Sandy shouted, don't butt in, we're discussing something important. He smiled, I can't ignore it. The selection battle is about to start. Up in the stands, students had gathered in full force, everyone excited ahead of the battle. Suddenly, a tall man in a black cloak and hat approached. He shouted loudly, attention. All the noisy students fell silent and focused on him at the signal. He spoke, all right, Golden Dragon Corps Captain Teach Mentric, the instructor declared loudly. From this moment, the selection battle begins. Teach announced the rules. This competition will be an elimination tournament between the 4 halls. First, the 4 halls will be divided into 2 brackets. The winners of each bracket will face off in the finals. The fight format is one-on-one duels. Each hall will send out members in a predetermined order. Among the 7 participants per hall, the hall that defeats 4 opponents first will be declared the winner. He continued, once the battle starts, the lineup order cannot be changed. Consider arranging the order as part of the strategy. And one last thing. He emphasized, the ones selected in this battle will be assigned a special mission. This special mission holds extreme importance to the El Dragon clan. Whoever takes on this mission will make a massive contribution to the El Dragon clan. Every student thought silently. Contributing to the El Dragon clan means a huge step toward becoming the clan head. Teach raised his voice. Now I'll decide the matchups. Representatives from each hall step forward in order and draw a stone from this box. He shouted loudly, West Hall representative. Veniel stepped up and drew. He shouted loudly again, West Hall representative. Veniel stepped up and drew. After drawing a stone, the instructor said, all right, you may return. Leica spotted him and reacted, that guy. Zeke asked, puzzled, what's up, you know him? She replied, yeah, he's the successor candidate from the West Hall I told you about. Veniel Fafnerled El Dragon. He rested his hand on his chin thinking, not just Veniel overall, the West Hall has a ton of strong fight. He continued thinking, the other halls have trained well too, but everyone can probably feel the power gap. Zeke glanced toward Retin and noted silently, even so that guy is a face I haven't seen in a while. He smiled inwardly. Back during the entrance exam, he showed some promise, but I never expected him to reach 3 stars at that age. He must have trained insanely hard. Impressive, really impressive. Retin caught Zeke's gaze and ground his teeth. Why is he? Suddenly from the stands, some students shouted, hey look, isn't that Rangi's? Why is that dropout standing over there? Raymond turned to reassure, Rangi's, you okay? He stammered, I'm fine. Teach called again. Next North Hall representative. Edgy's exclaimed, it's our turn. After he drew, the instructor called again, good, next South Hall representative. After the South Hall rep drew, Teach finally called, the East Hall representative. Leica said to Zeke, hey Zeke, they're calling you. He looked confused. Me, she replied, of course you're the strongest, Zeke. The others nodded in agreement, but Zeke looked flustered. No, these kinds of events should be for the kids. Leica waved her hand. Huh, we're the same age, hurry up already. Seeing Zeke step up, Sandy questioned, wait, why is that bastard going in for Leica? She replied, because he's the strongest among us. Hearing that, Sandy looked incredulous. You're joking, he's not even 3 star. Sandy continued, this is also a succession power struggle between me and Veniel, you know. In this situation, but Leica cut in, it's fine sis. She declared confidently, we're really strong, you know. Instructor Teach continued, now representatives from each hall, infuse your true power into the stones you just drew. Zeke held out his stone and looked. The stones held by the 4 hall representatives all lit up simultaneously in shades of blue and red. Teach announced, this will determine the brackets. The first match is East Hall versus North Hall. He continued, and West Hall versus South Hall. Rangi's thought to himself, North Hall. He glanced over at a big, ferocious-looking guy on the opposing team. Leica replied, yeah, exactly, but she muttered under her breath, I never expected to face Sister Sandy right in the opening round. Sandy declared boldly, Leica, this is a perfect chance to make you wake up. She pointed straight at Leica. I'll crush you completely until you remember your place and your purpose. Though a bit anxious, she still issued the challenge strongly. Come at me. Edgy smiled and said, hey, looks like we're up first against you guys. I'm genuinely looking forward to this. Zeke replied casually, Let's make it a real fight. Feels like we're gonna get along, you responded. I'm really looking forward to this match too. Veniel lounged arrogantly on the stands. The students from the other halls did the same. The instructor announced, first match East Hall versus North Hall. Zeke and Edgies exchanged smiles looking at each other. Rick clenched his fist tightly. I'll definitely win, Lord Zeke. Leica worried, I wonder if Rick's gonna be okay, he looks super tense. Zeke replied, yeah. Teach turned to both sides, are both teams ready? Then, he raised his hand high and signaled, begin. Rick immediately leaped forward, throwing a punch straight at his opponent. Zeke crossed his arms observing. Now then, let's see how this plays out, Leica beside him asked. From that look you can tell it's gonna be tough, right? He answered. In battle there are no guarantees. Zeke turned to Leica with confidence, except for me of course. My victory is absolute, she shot back. I wasn't talking about you. He turned his head back, focusing on the fight, and evaluated. Anyway, in terms of pure skill, the North Hall fighter isn't all that different from Rick, so as long as he fights like he normally does he should win. Leica responded, like normal, yeah, but this is the first time we're fighting in front of this many people, and with the pressure of representing the whole team too. Meanwhile in the match, Rick seemed to be taking more attacks and getting hurt. Zeke smiled, true, but for them. He commented on Sandy and Edgies. Those two are the exception. Probably Leica agreed, Sister Sandy, and he continued, those two are already close to 4-star level. Zeke went on, they won't be shaken that easily. In his mind he thought, Sandy Leica's cousin probably uses the same bloodline technique, right? Good experience for Lake. The match ended, Rick was completely knocked out, lying face down covered in wounds. The instructor announced, that's it, first match North Hall wins. Seeing that Marin cried out in fear, I have to win, Marin, Leica comforted. Don't stress too much, you'll be fine. A while later Teach announced, second match North Hall wins. Both Marin and Rick were beaten black and blue, trembling and crying to Zeke. Lord Zeke, we're sorry He cut in, you got completely overwhelmed by the arena atmosphere, right? Both quietly, yes sorry, Zeke reassured. It's okay, if this were a real battlefield where life and death hang by a thread it'd be different. He smiled, but here is a place to learn by testing your strength, not a place to kill each other. Lessons like today can only be experienced safely here. Zeke tried to lift their spirits. This failure will become nourishment for you on the real battlefield in the future. Sharpen your skills. Marin and Rick in unison. Yes, sir. He continued, but still we've lost 2 matches in a row, right? So the next one is crucial, isn't it? He turned, right Rangi's, hearing that the guy panicked. Don't make me more stressed, I've been freaking out since morning. Rangi's hesitated, and worse. He looked over at the most intimidating-looking member on the North team. Rangi's hugged Zeke, crying, my opponent is that scary senior, I'm terrified. Zeke asked, you fought seniors before, right, back when forming the team? Rangi's screamed, the East Hall seniors aren't scary like that. He cried, more fighting someone that terrifying in front of this huge crowd. Zeke patted his head, good grief. He put an arm around his shoulder. Rangi's, look at your opponent. What weapon is he using? He looked over, let's see, a sword probably. Zeke smiled, exactly. You're fighting someone with a sword, don't think anything else. If he thrusts, parry. He continued, if he slashes upward, step back. If he swings down, step in and thrust. Zeke instructed, just focus on handling the weapon right in front of you like always. Rangi's eyes lit up like he'd found enlightenment. He blurted, like always. Zeke smiled at Rangi's, thinking, Rangi's focus is really impressive. But right now, he still needs a little guidance to stay steady. Once he can enter that state naturally, he'll go even further. He wonder how much this match will help him grow. Meanwhile, students in the stands kept hurling insults at Rangi's. Look at the size difference. That scrawny kid doesn't stand a chance. Those words seemed to fuel Rangi's, making him angry and more serious. Teach shouted, begin. Right at the start, his opponent charged straight with sword in hand, unleashing 3-leaf sword technique. Fastest blade. Facing the massive blade in front, Rangi's showed no fear. He easily dodged the attack. Seeing that the opponent roared, you won't escape. He unleashed again, 3-leaf sword technique, double fang branch at Rangi's. This time he leaped high to evade. Leica called worriedly, Rangi's. Selene commented, the opponent's closing in to cut off Rangi's preferred range. Raymond turned, Lord Zeke, is Rangi's okay? He smiled. No need to worry, look at Rangi's eyes. He said he's more focused. At that moment, Rangi's dodged the next attack too. Zeke emphasized more than ever, despite the opponent unleashing combo ultimate moves, 3-leaf sword technique, leaf storm dance. Rangi's remained incredibly focused, his eyes shining bright. Rangi's used his technique, cloud water spear style, flowing clouds and drifting water, and repelled the opponent's move. Seeing that the opponent exclaimed in shock, what? Rangi's followed up, cloud water spear style, and then mad current thrust. He truly sent his opponent flying, crashing down, foaming at the mouth. Instructor Teach announced, match over. Third match, East Hall wins. Rangi sweated nervously and blurted, phew, that was close. While Zeke smiled confidently. All right then, time to start the comeback.